welcome back to another episode of Minding Our Business podcast. We have a special sports edition of the Mob podcast today. Speaking of special, we've got a special guest today. We got Slick Nick. That's what they call him in the street. That's because that's where he lives. No. That's Slick Nick's with us today to talk some NFL. Got G Money and Vargas to talk a little NFL today. But Vargas, before we start, G's got his 49ers hat. He's ready to talk NFL because let's face it, right? It's July. It's time to start talking NFL because next, we're talking, training camp coming up. Then we're talking preseason games. Everything's right around the corner. And we're also in the dead of summer, right? Baseball and the World Cup. But Vargas got his Brazil jersey on.
Well, you said football. So I'm like, maybe Joe's trying to be proper. And he's using that football term. I thought maybe he meant World Cup.
Yeah.
So I said, hey,
no. We've been friends 40 years. You know me to be proper, right? yeah. That's what I do best. Proper, right? But listen, so this is the Brazilians are going to have a bone to pick with you because you wear this on the podcast today to watch NFL, and I think they just got bounced.
Oh my God, they just got bounced by Norway. Tough game, bro. Tomorrow going to be a rough day for Brazilians. They're going to be.
That guy from Norway is insane, man.
He's amazing.
Oh, he's 6'5", dude.
Oh, dude, that guy. Oh, man.
But the guy's a pure Viking. That guy.
No,
right?
Viking, yeah.
The guy's 100%. Thor reincarnated, man.
Unbelievable. But the big news being America gets their guy back, right? So. They get rid of that. They make the right decision. It was a dumb decision to begin with. So I think for the first time, a lot of people are excited about soccer. But it's NFL time.
Yeah,
G Money. It's NFL time.
Oh, you're ready to go.
Ready to go. Forget this.
I'm ready. They're right now, like the worst part of the year, man. Hockey's done. Baseball, and World Cup is good, right? I mean, World Cup has been a good change.
It's like Yankees can't win games. The Mets are, they're
average. The Mets are killing me, man.
So we got to talk. We're trying to fast forward this thing. They call it the dog days of summer for a reason, right? So I figure we're gonna run through some topics today. I want to throw some things at you guys, and then we're gonna play a little game afterwards in honor of Vaccaro being in Vegas. We're going to do a Vaccaro segment. Is that fair? At the end.
Yeah.
All right.
It's only fair.
All right. Yeah, it's only fair. All right. We're going to start with, I want to talk about, the NFL season's coming. So draft is over, right? Because we talked NFL a little bit. Draft is over. Free agency's pretty much done outside of the free agents that are out there that nobody wants till someone gets hurt in training camp, right? Outside of all that. So the teams are set pretty much. They don't have their roster's not completely cut down, but for the most part, we can start talking about things moving forward because we got a pretty good idea of the way things are going to look. So I want to start off with teams that are always overhyped. So right now, what's great about the NFL for everybody is come August, everyone's team looks really good. Every fan base is excited, right? Everyone thinks their team, this is either a year they're going to do better. They have a shot. What we're going to do to start off the show is pop that bubble. For some teams, right? We're going to put a little pin in that. We're going to pop that bubble. I'm going to start with you, G Money.
You start with me.
Yeah, because you were the most prepared.
Yeah.
John,
it's like I was back in school, right?
Start with G. He knows his stuff. He's the most prepared.
Yeah, I know it all right, yeah.
Yeah, he knows the most prepared. So give me your two teams that we're coming into this season with all this hype, right? You got the, Rams just got Myles Garrett. You got, the Cowboys every year or everyone's always ready. The Cowboys, this is their year. Got all these teams the Ravens, you got all these teams, got all this hype behind it, right? Giants have Harbaugh now, like all this stuff. Give me your two teams that you think are being overhyped at this point going into the NFL season.
Well, I mean, one is, I'm going to give you as the obvious one, right? The Kansas City Chiefs, right? I mean, Mahomes is coming back, right? I mean, depends on how he's going to be healthy or not. I just don't think they have the weapons. I mean, I just don't think they have the weapons around Mahomes to be. I mean, I don't even think they're going to win their division, anything like that. So I think just because it's Mahomes, everybody talks about it all the time. You got Travis Kelce just getting married, right? It's always about the Chiefs, talking about the Chiefs.
Listen, now he's got his girl.
Yeah, dude, he's done. He's got his girl. He's weak in the legs, bro. Is it Rocky, right?
Weak in the legs. Look, Mickey told Rocky. No,
Dude,
love him.
the guy's not chasing any no grease lighting for him, right?
No, he's not running around chasing chickens. No, that's
So-
it. It's over.
Yeah, so I think so Chiefs and I think the Ravens. I think I mean, part of we have a different segment about, the next one about pressures and stuff, but I think the Ravens, Harbaugh leaving, I mean, they have a good roster. I don't think they're gonna be able to turn around. I think Harbaugh leaving, I think is gonna put a hole in there. I don't think they can be prepared. Everybody's still talking about them, like, because they got Lamar Jackson.
Mm-hmm.
So those are my two. I think they're a little overhyped in the beginning of the season. I don't think they're going to do much this year.
All right. Yeah, that's that second one may be a little bit shocking. I think
I thought about that.
Yeah, the Ravens, the Ravens are always. I mean, they seem to be hyped every year, and it just seems to be where Lamar Jackson's got an injury or whatever it may be. They got a new coaching staff this year, right? Harbaugh's not there for the first time in 18 years. So that's going to be an interesting. And you talk about from a division standpoint, right? The Browns, right? The Bengals, all this kind of stuff is like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Rodgers is back for a year 2 there. He's healthier.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still old, but he's healthy. So you just kind of wonder about some of that stuff. How do we feel about that?
I agree.
No argument from you?
No, because our Giants took most of their good players. So
the Ravens.
Yeah.
And Mahomes
took
are they expecting Mahomes back week 1? Everyone thinks he's coming back week 1. I can't see how.
Yeah, I mean, as far as what I've been,
that's crazy.
As far as what I'm reading, yeah.
I figured he'd miss the first couple of weeks. Vargas, agree or disagree with G, and then give me your 2.
Yeah, I agree with G. First off, I agree with G 100% on the Chiefs. That was going to be one of my teams. I think the Chiefs are. I think what you're going to see is a complete. Mahomes will be there for a while, but what you're going to see is kind of like how the Patriots did when Brady was there. Like Mahomes can win again, but he's going to win with a completely different roster. I think this group that he has, that's it. Okay, I mean, the team's getting older. Kelsey coming back, okay, whatever. He plays a very high impact position. Podcast, just got married. He's building his brand. He's building his post-football brand is basically what he's doing. And kudos to him. But I listen, this is a team that was 1-5 in the division. They were 1-7 on the road. This is not a good team. This is not a vintage Chiefs team. I think they're going through a rebuilding process. The Chargers and the Broncos will be very tough in that division. And for me, if the Chiefs can't win 4 games in the division, they're going to have a hard time. If you can't win at least 4 games in that division, it's going to be very difficult for them. I don't think they're really going to be that good. They're probably going to miss the playoffs this year. I don't see them really making the playoffs this year. I think the AFC is good, although it might have some questions. I do think, the AFC is really good. I think my other team in the NFC, to be honest, I think the Bears. I understand the hype behind the Bears. Another team, same thing, 2-4 in the division, dude. I mean, the Bears lost some games last year that were, rough. And, Caleb Williams has moments where he looks fantastic and then has moments where he looks like a second-year quarterback who can't figure it out. So the Bears are going in the right direction, but I just think you finish the season 11-6, people are thinking 12-5, maybe 13. And I don't think so. I think they'll take a little bit of a step back. They can make the playoffs, but I think they're going to come in. I think Bear fans and people are going to overhype them a little bit more than I think they really are.
Well, that's a good one because let's face it, right? Caleb Williams looked excellent in the playoffs. He makes ridiculous plays. You could see why that was an attractive pick for the Bears. That's this kind of stuff they thought he could do, right? Well, my biggest thing with him in college was inaccuracy. How does that work in the NFL? Most quarterbacks who can't complete 65% of their passes, but for some reason he has success, even though he doesn't make some of those throws. But that's not a bad one because guess what? You know what people saw? People saw them take the Rams to overtime.
Right.
And the Rams
they saw the gunslinger.
That's
right.
what
they saw.
And the Rams could have won the Super Bowl. Let's face it, they were a play away
100%.
from going to the Super Bowl themselves. And I think any one of those teams that would have gone to the Super Bowl, Bears, Rams, Seahawks, all probably would have beat the Patriots, right? And so Bears fans are seeing that and going, oh, well, we're only going to take a step forward in year 2
Yeah.
of him in that offense and all that. But what people don't realize is they have a tougher schedule because right, you got that schedule,
Mhm.
and then the Lions, I think, and we can make of this what we want, but the Lions have one of the easiest schedules in football. So you want to talk about a team that
Mhm.
we expect to bounce back next year? The Detroit Lions are going to be that team in the division that bounces back. No, so that's interesting one. To add to Vargas's little overhyped teams, Caleb Williams also on the cover of Madden.
Yeah, that's
That
listen,
Madden
yeah,
curse.
yeah.
Not the Madden
Yeah,
Jays.
yeah. And the thing with Williams too is I like him. He's a good player, but he reminds me a little bit of Brett Favre. Listen,
Yeah.
you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah,
He's going to have games where he looks amazing. He's going to have games where he's going to throw 3-4 picks, and he's going to look like running all over the field, just gunslinging it all over. But that's his game,
Mhm.
and that's what makes him good. And if you're okay living and dying with that, like that's what you're going to get out of him.
Well, I think, and we were discussing this because Anthony's a Bears fan. And I said, we were discussing this is, how you counteract that is the Bears better build up that defense, right? That defense better come out and play football because he's going to leave them on short fields once in a while, right? But listen, if you're going to have a gunslinger, Ben Johnson's office is the one that needs it, right?
Yeah,
He expects to throw the ball all over the field and he wants weapons. He wants all those things. But that's an interesting one because I tell you what, Vargas, a lot of people saw what the Bears did last year
Oh yeah.
with Ben Johnson. Oh, he was up for coach of the year, Caleb Williams. And a lot of people are saying, well, it's a foregone conclusion, right? That we expect the Bears to win the division or at least go right back to where they were.
Well, I think it's like what you said. I mean, for people that expect the Bears that had a good season, really good season, a step forward season for them. But, you got to look at the underlying factors. I mean, you're also taking into consideration hey, the Bears are going to win the division this year. So what you're saying though is that you expect the Lions to be bad. I don't expect the Lions to be bad
No.
moving forward this year. I
Well,
really don't. I think the
yeah.
Lions.
Yeah.
I think the Lions just had a tough season where a lot of things just didn't go right,
Mhm.
and it hurt them. But I still think they're a really good team.
With the Lions, what people forget about the Lions is that, yeah, they had a tough season. They also they lost both their coordinators in that offseason, right? Allen went to the Jets. Ben Johnson went to the Bears. You saw the success. Listen, when you see the kind of success a coach has on a team like Ben Johnson has, then that's a huge loss for the team that just lost him. Like, we can't just discount that, right? That the Bears got the guy and he was up for coach of the year and he turned that whole franchise around. They had a great season. Well, that also means the Lions had to move on from him and adapt to that, right? And so I expect the Lions to bounce back. We talked about them having, I think, one of the top 5 easiest. I think they have one of the top 3 easiest schedules going into the next season, the Lions. So to think they won't bounce back. Now, I will tell you, I don't know how much tread is on the Goff tire. But it'll be interesting. I think the Lions do bounce back. So that's that Bears one. Listen, the hot take of the Chiefs not making the playoffs is definitely not a hot take anymore. I think everyone's on that bandwagon. It sounds like already. Got 2 people already. 2 of the 4 teams mentioned were the Chiefs.
Yeah, literally.
You're up. What do you got?
I have 2. I did an NFC and an AFC too.
You got anything
did.
football? You
Oh.
disagree with the Bears?
No, I think because they lost DJ Moore too, that doesn't help either, right? They lost DJ Moore, right?
They did.
That doesn't really help.
DJ
either.
Moore's a Bill now.
Yeah, so that really doesn't help either, and they better throw it to Odunze. They didn't really throw it because he was on my fantasy team, and they barely ever throw it to him. So.
Well, he's got to step right. Year two
gotta step up.
of that.
Yeah.
All right, who do you got?
So is this Caleb Williams' 3rd year?
This will be his 3rd year
Third
coming
year,
forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is that big, third year.
And that's kind of where I'm halfway, right? Like,
Yeah.
because it always seems that sophomore year, it seems everybody tanks, right? From a quarterback perspective, right? Everyone who has a good first year, right? Like,
that second
yeah,
year's
you
tough.
kind of get like, I think that's going to be a situation for Dart, right? I think it's going to, so, all those first year quarterbacks last year, I think Bo Nix, I think once everybody gets some film on them a little more, get digested a little bit, defenses, I think it's a much harder as a quarterback, right, to make the adjustments on defenses. I saw it with Brock Purdy in his second year too. He kind of struggled so I think his second year is a tough one. So Caleb Williams, he had a good second year.
So
I mean,
listen,
I don't know, third year, he
let
might
me,
be able to
G,
cinch it
let
up.
me let me jump on that then, because then you would be disagreeing with Vargas, because here's why. Caleb Williams did the opposite in year 2.
No, that's what
And
I'm
by the way,
saying.
having
Like,
to learn a brand new system. So you would like to think that coming off your rookie season, you have a change in leadership, change in coaching, change in playbook, that would have hurt him in year 2.
no, agree. And it's a tricky one because you say it had a different, like it's a situation relative to coordinators and coaching and player, right? So if you have that, the constant coaching, right, for that player, I think the second year is a tough one, right? You know what I'm saying? Like, so, that element of a different set of his second year, a change, whatever it is, again, still takes defenses by surprise, but I think he still had it's for him. I think he's going to be unique here because of, although it's his third year, right? It's a second year in a system, right? That everybody has kind of seen. So, and that's why even that, and I think even coordinator shifting, and that's why I think the Lions are going to struggle. I think that you have certain coordinators that just got the team to the right. Like if you look at like Shanahan and the Falcons, right? Shanahan left, Falcons never were the same, right? Same thing with the Niners, right? They had a couple of good rounds with the defensive coordinators, right? Rick Saley, and then what's his name from the Texans, right? Real good defenses. After that, we're struggling, right? We're struggling defensively, which has hurt us, right? So
you're changing the
but
approach,
yeah,
especially
I don't
with
know.
the head
Yeah,
coach, especially because Shanahan's not a defensive head coach. So he
exactly.
really needs a strong defensive coordinator on the Niners, right?
Right.
That's
Absolutely.
he's not handling that side of the ball at all, right? And so
And it's been on and off, right? They haven't had a consistent coordinator, right, for the past 2-3 years, right? 3 years or so, right? On and off with the coordinators, even with Saley coming back last year, wasn't a time to have foundational, right? Now he
well, you
leaves.
also had a ton of injuries, right? Then too last year.
Exactly,
So,
right.
I mean, it was a lot of you guys. I thought
So
they did a great job of what they had. But so you look at this as Caleb year 2 also, even though he's year 3, he's year 2 in an offense.
Yes,
now listen, these quarterbacks struggle year 2 because you like to think the head coach goes, "Hey, we open up more of the book to you." So it wasn't like everyone got to look at the system. It's like now we feel comfortable. We open up more of the book to you year 2. Ben Johnson's going to have more plays, right? He's not going to rest on his laurels, right? He's a super creative guy. It's the Shanahan McVay kind of thing. It's like they're so creative. The quarterback's got to keep up with that going into year 2. So that'll be interesting. So you're on the fence because of that. You don't know where that is.
Right. And that's kind of what I was leaning towards Vargas when he was mentioning, right? That's what I was trying to think of what year Caleb Williams was in, because I think, although it was a sophomore year last year, right, relative to what you had mentioned, right, the coaching change, again, a little bit of a different wrinkle than before, not a lot of tape, different setup, whatever it is. I think even a little bit of advantage in his sophomore year, but I mean, I think kind of being in the same system this year, I think kind of puts him in this unique situation in his sophomore year. I think he struggles a little bit. He has the experience, right, the extra year, but I still think struggles a little more.
Then I'm going to put you on the spot, Vargas. I'm going to put him on the spot, Nick, because he says that.
Okay.
So you said two things. You lean in Vargas's way, and you said you think the Lions are still going to continue to struggle because they did lose a premier offensive coordinator, right? And listen, even though they have a defensive-minded head coach, to your point, this is where your point fits on the Niners. The Lions are the flip of the Niners.
Yeah.
So the Niners have the offensive-minded head coach, so he needs a strong defensive coordinator.
Yep.
The Lions have a defensive coordinator that got promoted to head coach, right?
Yep.
That needs a strong offensive coordinator, right? So if you lean the Bears are a little overhyped going into this year, and you think the Lions will continue to struggle, then I'm going to put you on the spot in the NFC North. Then who wins that division?
Green Bay. Green Bay wins it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you have Michael Parsons in Green Bay, you got Jordan Love. I don't know. I think
Jordan Love.
No,
dude, I'm telling you.
Vargas. You know why I put him on the spot for that? Because I'm going to let Nick go, right? But I'll give you a preview. To me, the Packers are one of the teams that's always is like lately is overhyped every year. And I think Jordan Love is one of those guys that I think we're starting to Okay, I'm not gonna get because we're
Yeah,
doing.
yeah, no, I
we're gonna
agree.
do-
I agree. I know
no,
exactly where you're
no, listen,
going,
'cause
and
we're
I
gonna-
agree with
'cause
that
Vargas,
point.
we're
as a
gonna
matter
do.
of fact.
We're gonna do.
That's why I didn't say the Packers, because to me, they're not overhyped, because I don't think they're that good.
Well, listen, hold on. I'm going to save it because we're going to do who's under pressure.
Yeah,
If I'll
yep.
give you a little insight to my who's under pressure.
Yeah,
But okay,
yeah.
so G,
I want to hear Nick. I want to hear Nick.
Yeah. Green Bay wins it. Green Bay wins the division.
Okay.
Mark it right here. You got
Mark
this
it.
recorded,
Well,
right?
listen, we don't have to mark it. Listen,
All right.
you know the
I'm just
beautiful
saying.
thing
I'm just
about a
making sure you
podcast-
understand.
The
bro.
beautiful
That's
thing
it.
about a podcast is it's not only recorded, but everyone's going to hear it. So,
Good.
you know,
Yeah. So
listen,
I'm right in the end.
Yeah.
Right.
You
should
should
have
have
bet
been in the
all
end, all
along.
right. Wait till my brother hears this. You're going to
That's the first person I thought of. I was
Oh,
like,
man.
God.
All right, Nick, who do you got?
So a lot of people are not gonna like me from one of them because it's gonna be the usual per people. It's the My first one for the NFC is the Cowboys.
Yeah.
Because it's just with the Eagles and now the
This
Giants
guy
have
does
built
not
up-
want to eat when he goes to your mom's house.
No,
he
he
does
does
not
that.
want to
I'm
eat,
trying
bro.
not to get fed at grandma's house. Grandma's a
What
big
is
for,
wrong with
for-
you?
obviously
Not-
for anyone. Grandma's a big Cowboys fan.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now every time I go to her house, she has blankets like Cowboys blankets, and I don't touch them ever. Like I will not let them touch my body.
Well,
At all.
Nick, well,
Not even a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
it's almost like the blanket's a female.
Yeah. I don't care. Let's agree. You almost
See, I almost
got
got,
me
yeah,
on that.
I almost got to agree on that.
You
All
almost
right,
got
so
me on that one.
so you think consistently. So you're not going to go out on a limb here. You think the Cowboys are going to be the same every year. They're hyped.
I mean, it depends on what Caleb Downs does. I don't really think Caleb Downs is gonna change that defense. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you get what I'm saying.
They added a lot of so
They
so
did.
the Cowboys did add a lot of defense. So I'll
Quentin
so,
Williams
so
is the
give us
problem.
give us your two teams because then we'll get a chance to push
Oh,
back.
and then the second one for the AFC is the Patriots
Oh yeah.
because they just had an easy schedule last season,
Yeah.
and like you said earlier, when we were talking that Seahawks Rams NFC, whoever was going to win that was going to win the Super Bowl. Everybody knew that.
Yeah.
So
Okay, so now there's our chance to push back. So here's where, as a fellow Giant fan, my nephew's not going to want to hear this, but this may be one of the seasons that the Cowboys go in and everyone goes, "Oh, the Cowboys," and I do think they've got me worried. And I'll
I
tell
think
you, I'll
offensively.
tell you what. No, I'll tell you why. Offensively, they were phenomenal last year. Maybe top 5. You could look that up.
Dak
Right?
was one of the best last year in
One
the
of the
league.
best. I'm of the opinion, and I hate saying this as a Giant fan, that Dak doesn't get enough credit. I think people beat up Dak for no reason. I don't even get it. When Cowboy fans say, "I'm mad at Dak," I'm like, okay, well, who you replacing him with? Because if you get rid of Dak,
yeah,
there's
he's taking
the
his
Jets will
position.
take him tomorrow, right? And all
Oh,
of a sudden
yeah.
the Jets are a contender, right? With that roster. So here's what I will tell you. I watched the Cowboys draft really well defensively in this draft.
They did, especially with Downs.
Well,
yeah.
Downs, you can make your argument with Downs, but it's a who up front, right? They solidified some of that up front.
Yeah.
If the Cowboys just make that defense 7 spots better than it was last year, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm pushed back on the Cowboys for that reason because I don't think I think the Eagles are on the decline.
Yeah.
I think the Eagles have
because they got rid of Brown.
well, I just think they got major issues, right? They got locker room issues. There's lack of trust, even though I don't understand why. There's lack of trust in Jalen Hurts. There's some locker room stuff there. I don't think Sirianni's a good. Listen, Sirianni had a phenomenal roster. That GM, everyone should take notes on how he built the Eagles, right? Sirianni just got taken for the ride. I think that guy doesn't really lead men, right? So I think when all of a sudden you have locker room issues, you have problems, it points out the problem with Sirianni's leadership, which is his lack of, right? Like he's emotional and stuff like that guy I don't think is very buttoned up. And I think the Eagles take a step back this year, and it worries me that the Cowboys have done the right things in the offseason to fix some of the defensive problems because the offense is not a problem. And
Yeah,
now you
no,
have
it never is.
talk about year 2, G. You have year 2 of their head coach. You have year 2 of all that, right? And so now I worry. I'm going to push back on the Cowboys. The Patriots, and I'll let Vargas and G respond after this. The Patriots, I'll let you steal my thunder, just like G said the Chiefs and Vargas said the Chiefs. The Patriots are one of mine. So I'm not going to argue with that because I think the Patriots Patriots got to a Super Bowl, Vargas, as luckily as you could get to a Super Bowl. as an NFL team.
Agree.
CJ
They got
Stroud,
this. Yeah.
CJ
this
Stroud
is-
was a mess. If CJ
Yeah.
Stroud was halfway decent in that game,
Yeah.
they don't beat the Texans,
Mhm.
right? Everything fell their way. Now, listen, in life, things have to fall your way. I get it. Now they inherit a number one first place schedule and a tough schedule.
Mhm.
And I still am not a believer in Drake May. Okay, G, you talk about year twos. Drake May is about to enter year two
Yep.
with a tougher schedule. We're gonna find that out. I feel like, and I'm telling you, you'll get a lot of pushback on this. I felt like he was more of a game manager last year than he was a leading quarterback. Okay, that's just my opinion. A lot of people had him in the MVP race, and I didn't think he belonged there.
Neither.
I understood why, because of the record, the way he was playing, but I didn't view him as somebody I was worried about. If the Patriots are coming to town, I wasn't worried about Drake May. I was worried about the running game, and I was worried about the defense. Right? Is that fair? So to me, the Patriots, probably more than any team on my list, take the biggest step back, I believe,
But
next
I don't
year.
think AJ Brown getting AJ Brown will help either.
Well, listen, AJ Brown being on my team is going to help, right? It's, to me, schedule,
Yeah.
the things that fell their way last year, no injuries really,
Yeah.
and then I
Mhm.
think Drake May played as well as you're going to get out of Drake May. It's my
Yep.
opinion. My opinion, you got peak Drake May. If you're going to get something out of Drake May coming out of North Carolina, that's what you were hoping to get out of him. Now, is that really him?
We'll
I don't
see.
know.
Yeah, we'll see.
But G Vargas, Nick's two picks. Agree, disagree, pushback?
No, I agree. I mean, I think his picks are, not terrible. I mean, I think I personally think the Cowboys are a good team. I think they're going to be a tough team in the NFC East. I think the Eagles they're a playoff team. They're a playoff team by roster. I agree. It's not the coaching. Like, they're a good team still. They're a quality team.
Right.
Okay, they're a quality team, probably going to make the playoffs, whether it's win the division, win the wild card. I think the way the Cowboys have built this year, again, it's on the podcast. It's not going to shock me if the Cowboys win the division this year. That would not shock me. I think the Cowboys' biggest problem last year is, one, they were 3-6 on the road. That hurts. And the Cowboys lost some heartbreakers last year. I mean, heartbreakers that they should have won. So, I think the Cowboys probably win the division this year. I definitely think the Eagles take a step back. I think the Giants are on the right track.
Mhm.
They're still a little bit ways away from competing, like, whether it's for the division or for like that, 2, 3, 4 seed in the conference, but they're on the right track. I just think they're just not there yet. They're not there yet. And I need to see a little bit more out of the quarterback, but they're on the right track to being one of those teams in another year or two. I just think they're a year or two out.
And Vargas, to your point, the NFL is all about evening out. Remember the year before last year, the Chiefs were like 7-1 in one possession games, and you're like, well, they kept winning those late games, and you're like, dude, this can't go on forever. And then it turned around last year; they were 1-7. Like, the NFL is a way of evening things out. You're right, right? You're right. The Cowboys lost some games that they'll win this year,
Heartbreakers.
right? They
I
didn't
agree.
fall their way, but there is something to be said under a new coach about learning how to win. I think the only thing I disagree with the Giants, and again, I'm a Giant fan, but I really think the Giants with Harbaugh are where the Bears were last year with Ben Johnson. New coach, really good roster, really didn't win a lot of games last year. They had a lot of playoff teams down late in the fourth quarter and just couldn't close. I think Harbaugh naturally will show them how to close those games out. There will be some coaching decisions that flop a couple of those games. But I don't know that the Giants are there yet, Vargas, like you said, to win the division.
Yeah. I think the
And I'm being
Giants.
honest.
Yeah, I think
listen, do I think the Giants can make the playoffs? Yes. Do I think they'll win the division? I don't think they're better yet than, because I always said this, show me the coach and the quarterback, G, and most of the time I'll tell you who's going to win the division. I think the Giants have the best coach in the division now. Now I don't know though that they have the best. I think Dak, where Dart is, I think Dart has a higher ceiling than Dak, but where Dak is, Dak and Hurts are better quarterbacks in the division right now, right? And then for me as a Giant fan, they got to keep Dart healthy. Dart's got to keep Dart healthy, right? So do I think he's got the intangibles? Yes. I watch him. He jumps off the screen. I think he's not where Dak and Jalen Hurts are yet. And so I agree with you on that, Vargas. I think the Dallas Cowboys worry me more this year. The last time the Dallas Cowboys worried me this much was the Romo Des Bryant non-catch.
Yeah.
I
Yep.
think they probably could have won the Super Bowl that year, right?
Yeah.
If they ruled that a catch, I think the Cowboys probably they go to the NFC Championship game, and I do think they have a shot. The Cowboys worry me a little bit this year, and again, we'll see how the defense plays out. But I agree with that take. G.
Well, I mean, totally agree with Vargas on the Cowboys. I mean, thinking the same thing. I mean, Nick, I mentioned about being the hype. Usually, that's always the case. It's been like that forever since they were America's team, right?
Mhm.
For the Cowboys every year. Totally agree with that. I think this year, like I said, Dak. I don't know. Dak has matured through the past couple of years. The offense has been kicking off pretty good. I think they had some. Like I said, totally agree with Vargas. Had some heartbreakers last year. I think they're going to win the division this year. And I totally agree on the Giants take. I think the Giants are on the upswing there. I'll be kind of curious about Dart this year in the second year. Can go either way. A new coach doesn't have the Russell Wilson right behind him. So now he's number one, right? He's your guy, and is he going to put the work in? Is he going to do the things that need to be done? The pressure and everything in New York. Is it something that he's going to be able to get through? Hopefully Harbaugh can get him through all that.
Yeah, because
And
there's
then
a
for
lot more
Patriot-
hype, G. See, I think Dart's built for this. You could tell in his personality, right? I don't think the New York stage is too big for him. What you're talking about is now the expectations of year 2 Dart, right? So
Right, and it's
Dart
also
played so well. He was so people watched him, and even Giant fans like me will watch him go, well, he jumps off the screen clearly. Because what I want to point out about the Giants, Nick, and I think you and I have had this conversation, is Dart did this last year with a lame dunk coach and with no wide.
That offensive line,
Wandale
not great.
Robinson was his only weapon. Scatterboo he didn't even have all year because he broke his ankle.
No. Right.
So Dart was had teams like the Broncos down 14 in the fourth quarter with no neighbors, no nothing. Like we go out, they added, neighbors comes back. You got Mooney. You drafted the kid from Fields from Notre Dame. You can't argue. He's definitely going into this season with way more weapons, right? And so this will be a great test for him. To me, it's more about his health, not about his ability, because you also don't want it. You can't take a guy like that, John. We talked about this, G. You're trying to get Dart, who's played like this since he's 5, to all of a sudden not dive for that first down. It's not going to happen. So all you want is you remember the hit last year against the Patriots where he took out of bounds, that linebacker leveled him. Remember that, G?
Yeah.
You remember the hit I'm talking about, Nick, right?
Yes, I do.
Well, it was a legal hit, right, Vargas? He stepped out of bounds late, and he got popped. Now, everybody was trying to fight that guy, but it was a legal hit. To me, that was the play that Dart can change, because he's not going to change diving for the first down, and nor do I want him to, because how many times do we see quarterbacks slide a half a yard short, and then we don't get third and a half a yard, right? But that play, he was still 3 or 4 yards away from the first down, and all he had to do was just step out of bounds. There was no reason for him to stay in bounds. That's the type of play, G. To me, I'm hoping Harbaugh is the difference there, right? Where it's like,
totally agree. And the other thing I was going to add to that, relative to the pressure of New York, like he's the guy, right? Like he wants it. You can tell, right? He wants to be that. It's the matter of the situations where he has a bad game, or he has a string of bad games, right? And the New York media is just blowing him up, right? How is his character going to withstand and persevere through that? Like, you look back at past quarterbacks in New York, right? I mean, it's those that will be able to handle that pressure, right? Turn it around. Eli was just stay cool, right? I mean, they got on him because he didn't, right? He didn't
react
go off or anything like that. He just was even keeled, good or bad, right?
Eli throws a touchdown to win the game, and Eli throws in his interception. It's the same look.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So, I mean, I'd be kind of curious with Dart this year. But again, like we talked about with Caleb Williams, right? New coaching staff, right? New thing. It could be another upswing, right? Another year, which is great for him, and So, but I'm just kind of curious about that.
I'm going to try
Those
to
games
temper
that spring.
expectations, but I will tell you, Nick, the Giants probably fall under the umbrella, Vargas, of other people's teams that are overhyped right now going into August. Right? There's been a lot of talk about the Giants and Harbaugh, and they got their coach, and Dart's the man, and Neighbors is coming back, and all the things I mentioned, right? Abdul Carter, that defensive line, the defense played really well last year, got quarterback pressures, the Giants could fall under that umbrella for a lot of people.
They can, but this is the thing with me with the Giants is the Giants to me that they're on the right track. I think you're realistic, Joe. The Giants to me are a team. They finish 8-8. That's a great season.
Right,
That is a step forward.
Mhm.
Like if they're playing meaningful games at the end of the year where you can possibly get to the playoffs, that is a really good season. I agree with G. I think the thing I question with Dart is I'm not worried about Dart getting injured from some blindside hit. I'm worried about Dart getting injured when they're beating like the Cardinals 21-0 and he's trying to reach for a first down and he's taking an unnecessary hit and fracturing his hand or something. And I understand it's in his nature. He's a competitor. I love that about him. But someone like Harbaugh with his experience, you got to save him from himself.
Oh,
that is the thing with Dart that worries me a little bit. And the same thing with Scadaboo. And to me, Scadaboo isn't like some great player that gets you over the top. What Scadaboo is, though, is the guy that will always believe that the team can win the game. Yeah. And he's going to keep that positive attitude on the team, keep that locker room pumped up and going and getting like that team will be ready to play every single week 100%. If Scadaboo's on the field. But they're going to be ready to play.
John, here's the thing. Scadaboo is the energy you want in your locker room. He's the frat boy. We talk about this. But there's a difference between that guy running through a brick wall and you losing him for a game or two and the team just moves on versus your quarterback.
Correct.
Right? You
can't lose Dart.
Like that. Yeah. Right? It's Tom Brady Gronk, right? Like you could have Gronk be that way. You can't have, like Brady can be fired up, he can mess around, but Gronk could be that way, right?
Right.
Brady's got to be a certain way for the team to ultimately be successful. But for the most part, right, we talk about it all the time. The best ability you could have is availability, right? So like, he's got to be around. But the Giants could fall under that umbrella of teams that going into the season are really being hyped with all the changes, right? So it definitely is interesting to see. But the Cowboys, I don't think for the first time they may go into a season with the right amount of hype around that team. I don't think that they're going to be overhyped. The Patriots, I definitely think are, and I'll give you mine. To me, the Patriots are the ones, and I already talked to you about that one. I really think that that's going to be the case there. To me, listen, I'm going to look at this overhyped thing a different way. Overhyped doesn't mean they're not going to be successful, right? How about everyone already having the Rams winning the Super Bowl? Listen, I get it. They were in the NFC Championship game last year. Matt Stafford, I'm a big Matt Stafford fan. Love Matt Stafford. They get Myles Garrett. It all looks good, right? But I'll give you the line that one of the coaches said. So I guess we don't have to play the games then, right? Why don't we just give the Rams the trophy? We'll move on to 2027. I love the Rams. I think the Rams are probably your favorites to go to the Super Bowl. But when we talk about overhype, I'm like, we're already handing them the trophy. Seattle's the defending champs in their own division, right? Like, it's not like the Seattle's still not there, right? The Niners are always going to be competitive, G, right? The Niners get back all these players that were injured, right?
And they had Mike Evans.
And Vargas, you're a Bucs fan. Mike Evans.
Relax.
Is he going to be Mike Evans? Is he going to be Mike Evans? No. But on the Niners, he doesn't need to be Mike Evans. Right?
No, he doesn't.
Needs to be a veteran wide receiver that's going to make big plays in big moments, and he will. Right.
And he needs to be the guy that the Niners put out way out on a wide out. Because what Mike Evans is Mike Evans was always that guy. He's just a 6'4" deep threat. He's the guy that you send on that post that draws the safety, and then they draw up plays to go to the other side of the field. Because Mike Evans can burn you out of nowhere. He's not the same player he was, but he can still make that one or two big plays in a game way down the field that could change the game. And if the Niners use him correctly, I think he's not so much a weapon, but he's going to open up lanes for Purdy to throw to some of the other guys on the team.
And I think, listen, it takes some pressure off McCaffrey. It takes someone like Mike Evans does that, right? Gene, you're a Niners fan, so we'll let you ultimately have the ultimate say about that. But I'm not saying the Rams don't deserve the hype going into the season. I'm just saying we're talking about overhyped. We just are handing the Rams the trophy, and I would caution that because their division isn't just you walk through that thing, right? Like that's a division. You're going to play 2 games against the Niners, 2 games against the Seahawks. They're going to be knockout, drag-out fights, right? And your quarterback's not 21, right? To me, you better get a healthy season at Stafford. He's a tough quarterback because the Rams have put all their chips in the table. It's almost like if the Rams don't go to the Super Bowl, it's a huge disappointment. To me, they have the hardest. To me, they have the biggest cliff to fall off of Vargas. I don't know if I'm using the overhype thing correctly, but you get what I'm saying is to me, it's almost like when I talk about overhype, the Rams may be the only team in the NFL, and you guys could correct me on this. I'm trying to think in my head, outside of maybe Josh Allen, the Bills, the Rams may be the only team in the NFL that if they don't win the Super Bowl, it's a huge fail. Now, everyone's trying to win the Super Bowl. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
It's a fail if you don't win the Super Bowl. I get that. That's not what I'm saying. Most teams are going in the NFL trying to win the Super Bowl. We have just given the Rams that they're going to be there, right?
They have to get there.
Right.
They have to get there.
Because if you don't get to that final game, means you're not one of 2 of the final teams. It's a huge fail for the Rams.
Right.
And then
I agree.
Then they start having conversation about drafting that young kid 13 overall rather than getting another position player, whatever it may be. But listen, I know that's a crazy take by me, but I'm like, we're talking about overhyped. To me, at this stage of the game where we are in July, we're just handing them the trophy. I'm like, man, that's a big cliff to fall off of this early.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Rams, the expectations of the Rams is, listen, when you're talking about championships, right? You got to get to the championship game. Anything can happen in the championship game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Anything, no matter what sport it is. And especially in football, because it's one game. So anything can happen. But I think the expectation of that organization and of that fan base is the season is a foregone conclusion. They expect to be in the Super Bowl. I think the biggest hurdle for them will be the Seahawks. I understand people are going to make this big deal about, Darnold. Listen, that Seahawks defense was the best defense in football last year.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I mean, they stuffed everybody. And if you cannot score points on them, you're going to lose the game. And in that division's stacked. Listen, that division is the best division.
Yeah, outside of Arizona, which has
nobody. Yeah. But those 3 teams, the Niners, the Seahawks, and the Rams, that is the best division in football as far. I mean, you got the Niners were in the play. Would they win 12 games last year, G?
Yeah.
The Niners, they're a wild card team, bro.
They're
a wild card team,
bro. But Vargas, and this is where I think people overlook it. It's not so much me beating on the Rams. It's the Niners didn't have anybody. No Fred Warner. No, they won 12 games. Listen, I said this last year, and everyone thought I was crazy because you had Ben Johnson, you had all this stuff go on. You had the coach from the Seahawks who, you got all this stuff, right? It's like Shanahan, to me, was the coach of the year. What he did with that roster, that at some point, the disabled list or the injured list for the Niners was an all-pro team on its own.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And they won 12 games. So that's my point about the Rams is the division. It's like maybe you will say the AFC West is the best division in football. Chiefs, Broncos, Chargers, but the NFC West is up there, right? They're both is equally difficult. And to me, that's why I chose the Rams. It's not because the Rams, if the Rams won the Super Bowl, I'm not saying, hey, Joe was, no. They have the roster for it. I'm saying where we stand right now in July, I'm like, man, you pretty much are being handed the trophy. That cliff is pretty steep. And we just act like, and listen, we talk about this stuff in sports all the time. Sometimes when that monkey's off your back and you win, all of a sudden you play looser. We talked about that with Rory, right? Remember Rory just couldn't win the Masters? And we were even texting about it. The first year he won the Masters G, we were texting, I'm like, Rory's about to blow up. Here it comes, holes 12 to 15. He's going to make shots. Now, guess what? The other guys he happened to be competing with that year fell apart too late, and he happened to hit really some good shots, wins. Now what happens? He wins a back-to-back Masters.
Yeah.
Because now that monkey's off your back. There's something to be said about Darnold playing looser this year, right? Feels like he put some of those questions about him being a quarterback that can win a Super Bowl or being a bust in the draft. All that stuff goes bye-bye, right?
Mhm.
Now Darnold, for the first time, Darnold's walking into a season with nothing to prove to anybody. Right? So we're forgetting that element of Seattle, is that it's year 2, because Darnold, that was year 1 in that offense. So now
Yeah.
this is year 2 for a veteran quarterback in an offense where they've already won the Super Bowl, and all the questions about Darnold are pretty much gone. You know, Vargas? There's
Yeah, and
something
I
to be
don't,
said
and I
about
don't understand with the Rams. Like, I understand the Rams are really good. They got a lot of expectation. They added pieces, but again, like the Niners in Seattle, people talking as though like that division's like not
That's what I'm
good. Like,
saying.
what are you talking
that.
about?
That's what I'm
Like
saying. We talk about
the two
overhyped.
highest scoring teams in the league
Listen,
were in that division.
Listen, that's why I'm saying the segment's called overhyped. It doesn't mean, hey, a team that we think is going to be great that is really going to be shitty. It just means, hey, where we stand right now, from what we're hearing on all the talking heads, is we're just handing the Rams the trophy. I'm like, man, the Niners get everyone back healthy. Shanahan's a phenomenal coach. Like, G is a Niners fan. I'm sure you got your questions still about Brock Purdy, but it's not like you guys don't have offensive weapons. If McCaffrey goes through another season fully healthy, then the Niners are tough. And now they had to rely on him a lot last year, right, G? No Ayuk. No this. Kittle was hurt for a lot of games. No one, like 7 or 8 starters hurt on defense. There was a lot of pressure on McCaffrey and Purdy last year. I think getting everyone back healthy with going through another draft free agency, I think the Niners, everyone's just overlooking that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I still think from the Niners, I think, Evans is going to be a huge, decoy distraction on top of being a great player, right? I think he's going to open it up. Injuries are always a thing with the Niners, right? I still think the Niners are another receiver away, from an offense perspective. The key is defense. I think for Purdy to be successful, right, Niners need a strong defense, right? I think he can, come out, manage the game, score some points and things of that nature. But, he's not going to be, your Mahomes, right? He's not going to be, your Josh Allen, right? He's not the one that you can, it's all right. We're down. He's going to throw up points and throw up points, right? He'll get points, but I think the defense. So we'll see if Raheem Morris, what he comes up with from a defense perspective. I think the Niners, from a draft perspective, wasn't, too excited relative to that, and even from a defensive point of view. So, we'll see.
Well,
we'll see.
You had to look at it from the Niners standpoint is we weren't going into a season where we need to fill a lot of holes. We just needed guys back healthy, right?
Yeah.
Right? So that's a different feel when you're in a draft, right? You're looking at your roster going, hey, if we just get 6 guys back healthy, right? Our defense is where it was, right? So the draft. So it'll be interesting. So anyway, I choose the Rams for that reason, and not because I don't think they're great, not because I'm not. McVay and Stafford together is like, man, that is some marriage. That worked out really well, right? And I think no one would argue that experiment did not work. All I'm saying is, for me, we're just handing them the division, handing them they're going to the Super Bowl, and I'm like, oh, we're just acting like Seattle. Just like, it's one thing when a team wins the Super Bowl and then everyone, well, you get this, right? You get guys scattered to go get paid elsewhere, right? I don't think the Seahawks lost a ton of guys.
It didn't happen. Yeah, that didn't happen. The defense is still good.
Some guys,
that's the top
guys got paid. But
but that team is good, man. That team is solid everywhere. But at the end of the day, and you know this, Joe, especially in football, defense wins championships.
Mhm.
And that team last year, if you watch them, they were borderline like the Legion of Boom towards the end of the season. That defense was solid. And I know Darnold was a great story. That was like the heartfelt story.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
comeback kid, everybody overlooked, just a hard worker, keep his head down and just work hard. Don't say boo. But that defense, to me, that was the star last year for Seattle. And that's a good team.
So real quick, go around. Who wins the NFC West next year? Gee, I know you're a Niner fan. This is a tougher question for you, so I'll let you go last. Nick, who wins the NFC West next year? Think Seattle?
Seattle or the Rams, yeah. Sorry.
You know, you got to pick one.
Oh, Seattle.
You can't just say, he's like the Seattle, the Rams, or the Niners. I'll tell you, one of those teams is going to do it.
Okay, Seattle.
That'd be great. I'd rather you have just come out and said Arizona, right? Like, just pick someone. So Seattle?
Seattle.
Vargas?
Yeah, I think Seattle probably repeats that division. I think you hit the nail on the head. I think a lot has to be said about a guy who's going to come out now. No pressure whatsoever. He got his big contract. They love him in Seattle. He's the guy. He's like, he's walking around that town like a kid, and he's a great guy.
Yeah,
I mean, he's just a great guy. And I think and I think he is going to go out there, like you said, Joe, he's just going to play loose. And now it's like people are talking about when he was with the Jets seeing ghosts. I think he's going to be seeing receivers all over the place. They're just hitting him. Yeah. I think he's going to be just fine over there. And I think they'll be tough to beat.
Like Oprah, and you get a ball. And you get a ball. All right, G Money. That's tough, right? So it's your division. So you have more insight than we do. Who wins that division? And we'll let you be biased if you want to.
Well, it's a tough one, right? There's still so many unanswered questions for me on that division. I mean, I say right now, considering the unknowns I would say Seattle, right? I think Seattle has more of the knowns, right? Mm-hmm. The unknowns, I go back to the Niners defense. I don't know what they're going to look like. I think that's going to be a key there for the Niners, as well as health, right? I think their defense is older, right? Fred Warner is a little older, coming off an injury, right? Greenlaw comes back. Mm-hmm. He had major could they come up with the same intensity? Can they? So I don't know. That's an unknown for me from the Niners perspective. And then when we talk about the Rams, that was one of the things in your next segment, right? We get into, pressure, whatever it is, right? I think, at some point from a Stafford, I think everybody kind of views him. He's the gunslinger or whatever it is. But I think there is a cliff with quarterbacks near that age, right? You see with Aaron Rodgers, right? It was like great. And then all of a sudden he just, to me, fell off a cliff, right? I know he left Green Bay. After that, it was, you expected all this greatness and nothing, right? And I think that's happened with quarterbacks in the past as they got
at some
to that
point, G, right? Athletes in general, you reach down to go get that extra thing, and it's not there anymore.
Yeah, right? Whatever it is,
you just kind of reach down, and it just all of a sudden that tank is empty, right?
So that's the unknown for me with Stafford, right? I think he's still got gas in the tank. Mm-hmm. It's just how much gas, right? Yeah. And I think that's going to be a sign there, and then as well as the pressure in itself, right? So they got a good team.
Injuries at 40, the injuries don't get easier to play with, right? And so that's
well, arm strength, right? Arm strength, being able to be mobile in the pocket a little bit, come up in the pocket, whatever it is, right? I think it's tougher,
But
and I
this
think
is my point, right? He goes to make a move, and God forbid tears an Achilles like Rodgers did because of the age, and now all of a sudden, what are the Rams? I mean, we would argue they have a great roster, but we talk about this in the NFL all the time. You can have a great roster without a quarterback, you got nothing.
Yeah.
Right? You see the Jets. I think the Jets GM gets beat up because I think he actually built a great roster, but they don't have a quarterback. So your roster always looks worse when you don't have a quarterback, right? If you haven't figured that out. And so that's kind of, that's why I bring up the Rams, and what we'll do is we'll take a little bit of a break. We'll come back, do the next segment. All right? Because Nick's looking at me like he's got to pee. No?
I'm good.
Oh, you just look like that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We'll take.
I look like he was constipated.
No, he's mad because we said the Cowboys. He came in here thinking my Giants going to be great. The Cowboys will be overhyped. It's going to be a good year. And I said we were popping people's balloons. I think we just popped it.
A little bit, honestly.
A little bit, honestly. All right.
Nick's like, wow, the NFC's pretty good.
Yeah. He's like, now
hey, Nick, man, Nick, it's all right, man. Nobody agrees with my Green Bay pick, right? You just got to take it and move on, man. Just as it goes, man.
Look, we'll take a 2-minute break. We'll come back. All right.
All right.
Yep.
Yep.
Welcome back. Minding our business. We're talking some sports, right? We're usually talking about everything else but sports, but today we're talking a little NFL. All right. So listen, this is what I'm gonna throw at you guys. All right. This is what I want to talk about. So every season, this happens. We go into the season. There's some people under some pressure, right? Whether it be a quarterback or a head coach that's on the hot seat or has the most pressure on them to perform this year, right? Or else things got to change. Maybe it's the end of the road. Maybe it's whatever it may be. It could be teams, it could be head coach, or it could be quarterback. I want to start. G, we'll let you go because you were already ramped up when we talk about the Rams, right?
Oh,
So
yeah.
so let's start. Give me. It doesn't matter how many you give me. Give me a few. Coaches, quarterbacks, teams you think either have the most pressure on them this year or are on the hot seat.
Well, I mean, I have 2 teams, 2 players, 2 quarterbacks. So as you know, I alluded to.
Hit me with them.
All right. So the Rams,
We're
of
just gonna
course,
beat you
right?
up anyway, like we did over the past.
That's all right. I could take it. Hey, no problems. So I got the Rams, right? Pressure. I definitely think the pressure with the roster and everything to win. Stafford at the age he is, right? I think this is an all in. I think from the Rams standpoint, so I think there's a lot of pressure there. I think
by
the
way,
Bengals.
it's not like McVay doesn't act that way. That guy gives away draft picks. He's like, draft picks? I need to win now. Give me play.
like draft day,
Take every draft pick I have.
It's like I was watching draft day,
Yeah.
Get my number one. So
Pick what you want. Yeah.
that's right. So second team is Bengals. Okay. I think from the Bengals standpoint, Joe Burrow, I think this has got to be his year to some extent, right? I mean, think from a last year and falling off a little bit from last year and some injuries and stuff like that. I think from a Bengals, I think this is the year to kind of, from a pressure standpoint, to kind of show, are they in or out?
Mhm.
Are they going to be a team or not, kind of thing. And then I have 2 quarterbacks, and these are probably the mainstream same quarterbacks you normally hear. Lamar Jackson,
Yeah.
I think, from the Ravens. I think they have a good roster. Same thing, new coach, but I think there's some pressure there to now there's nothing holding them back, right? It was all these other things with Lamar, is it Harbaugh? Is it something else, right? New coach, he's the man. We'll see what he's got, right? I think there's pressure there. And then I think on Josh Allen too. I think he's in that point too for Josh Allen. Again, new set of coaches, right? Everybody's saying, all the other coaches held him back or didn't get him in the right situations. So, yep. So that's what happened. Yep. Those guys
Listen,
right
I will tell you this. Josh Allen is clearly the best quarterback in the NFL. It's not even close, right? Did the coach fail him or did the GM fail him? I'm more on, listen, what you did is you took Joe Brady and you kept the same offensive coordinator. You just made him the head coach, right? You got rid of the head coach. I was on I don't know if you remember this, Vargas, you remember this year. Remember the year that the Bills were really hot? They were playing really well. They had the Chiefs who were in their prime, Tyreek Hill, all those guys, right? Josh Allen answered Mahomes in that Chiefs offense touchdown for touchdown that playoff game. As a matter of fact, he throws that touchdown late with 13 seconds left, and you're going, we've all watched the NFL a long time. Oh, Josh Allen just won the game. He just knocked the Chiefs out. 13 seconds. Give me a head coach squib kick. Give me something here, right? You just can't let them get in field goal range. And to me, the head coaching and the defense has continued to fail him that way. But to me, the GM has failed him. The GM, to me, the Bills GM, when you have Michael Jordan or Josh Allen and guys like that, you tend to be a little lackadaisical on who you put around them because they make you seem better than you are. Remember we talked about the Jets roster looking worse than it is because they don't have the quarterback? When you got Josh Allen, the offense looks better than it actually is, right? I don't know that they've given that guy up. Now they get him DJ Moore this year. They do some things this year. But, gee, that is true. Josh Allen's got different pressure than Lamar, right, Vargas? I mean, Lamar's got that whole you can't win. He's got a few things, right, that Josh Allen hasn't gotten to the Super Bowl yet. But I don't think there's anyone that debates Allen's playing and under pressure in the moment of the playoffs. He seems to step up. It seems to be the defense that can't hold I don't know if you go back and look at the stat. I think Josh Allen has had the lead at the end of games, like under a minute or less, 4 times in the playoffs and lost those games, right? Whereas Lamar Jackson seems to get to the playoffs and plays, once you take his legs away, that seems to be where he can't win. I always say this: Lamar Jackson is the Aaron Rodgers of football, or Aaron Judge, or Aaron Judge is Lamar Jackson of baseball. It's like they get to the playoffs and all of a sudden they're a different player. I don't think Josh Allen is any worse in the playoffs. So to me, I like those two that you called out, John G. But John, Lamar and Josh have different pressure, right?
I think so. And this is, it's funny, we were going over this segment. Me and my daughter, I went over this with my daughter today. This turned into an hour and a half discussion because my daughter likes, she loves to go on deep dives, like, when I mentioned them. And I presented to her this question. I said, Darnold last year, what an amazing accomplishment winning the Super Bowl for him. It was great for him to get that in the story. But I said, listen, like there's no question. Josh Allen is the best quarterback in the league. But I said, in football is different than any other sport because the lifespan of a player in football is so short, even at quarterback, right? And quarterbacks have 2 stages in football. And you know this, Joe, right? You got that early beginning stage. There's no middle. There's the early beginning stage, and then there's late stage. And late stage comes on quick. Okay. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson, all 30 years old. The window is starting to close now, where you have quarterbacks who take Brady and put him on the side. You have other quarterbacks who have won at older ages. Manning, Peyton being Peyton late in his career. Obviously, Eli was amazing. Even Breeze. But the reality is when those guys won, they were never the best quarterbacks in the league. They had help in a lot of other areas. Manning had that defensive team in Denver.
Well, listen,
the Giants had talent across the board.
Manning got benched that year by the
Yes.
Broncos.
Yeah.
Remember that? Remember they benched him for Brock Osweiler?
Yeah.
That's how bad Manning was that year.
Right. He was never the best player. And the thing to me is like, I still think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. But Joe, let's fast forward. And this is the question I presented my daughter. Think about how you look at Allen now, G, Nick, and Joe, how you look at him right now. 3 years goes by, 33 years old. He didn't win the Super Bowl. Are you looking at him the same way?
Oh, yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah.
That 3 years comes on fast. And him and Burrow, to me, are 2 players that in 3 seasons, which happens fast in the NFL, that's a short window. They don't win a Super Bowl. That's not about them winning a Super Bowl now. Now it's about them in order to win a Super Bowl. They need a lot of help in other areas. It's not going to be just them.
That's right.
It is not going to be them that's winning it.
I'll tell you this, Nick, G, what Vargas is saying. I'll tell you this. Josh Allen, there are a lot of quarterbacks that didn't win Super Bowls that it affected their legacy. There's no one to me that it hurt more than Dan Marino. Because
I agree.
Dan Marino, if Dan Marino just has one, you are talking about him as being one of the top 3 passes of the football ever, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. To me, Joe Burrow and Josh Allen would feel like Dan Marino to me if they didn't win a Super Bowl. Them more than any other quarterback, more than Lamar, more than anyone that has gone through there, and probably you felt like, to me, Dan Marino, Josh Allen, and Joe Burrows will feel the same. And Aaron Rodgers only having one feels the same to me, right? You look at that guy and go, that guy should have had 3, 4, right?
Yeah.
Like he's got his one, but I don't think there's anyone that looks at Aaron Rodgers and goes, he won a Super Bowl, so he's got his trophy, so he could be in the GOAT conversation. I think there's a lot of people that look at Rodgers and his arm talent and what he had, and you go, Donald Driver and this one and that. Was like, you look at Rodgers and go, one seems like none for Marino to Rodgers. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like, to me, that feels like that, right? And so
I agree.
You're right, Vargas. Josh Allen and Joe Burrows all of a sudden hit 33, 34, and they don't have that ring yet. We start really, 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 really. All of a sudden, that pressure starts getting there. And to me, it's the what's his name? Jerry Jones, owner of the Cowboys, kind of pressure. Like, dude, You're 80 something. You don't got a lot of years to go in that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it's starting to shrink.
Well,
right?
this is the question that I have with that, and I told my daughter, like, in football, it's so different, right? Because in football, to me, football and basketball are the only sports. Baseball's different, hockey's different. Basketball and football, to me, are the only sports where, but when you're a star player, a star, you don't have to be the best player, but you're a star. That championship defines you,
Oh yeah.
right? Right? Like Charles Barkley is a Hall of Famer, but he is completely looked at differently
Yeah.
because
So is
he never
Patrick
won.
Ewing.
Karl Malone, Patrick Ewing. You can go down the list.
Mhm.
You go to football. I mean, let's be honest. Hypothetical, of course, you put it out there. Like Sam Darnold wins another championship with Seattle, right? Like to me, he becomes like this kind of generation's like Eli Manning, where like he may not have been a Hall of Fame player numbers wise, but the guy's a winner.
Oh yeah.
And he kind of, that's what you're going to look at him as.
So do you
because
start
when you
viewing
think
that 2018 draft differently, where Darnold
I-
came out of there?
that's
it was like,
my
Darnold's a
question.
bust,
That's
and now all of a sudden
correct.
he's the one in the draft that has 2 Super Bowls. If he wins a second one, that changes. Man, the conversation around that draft
That-
really changes.
and that's why like my big question, like with my daughter was like, and I love Josh Allen. I think he's the best player in the league, but 3 years goes by, this guy doesn't win a Super Bowl. How do you start to look at Josh Allen now?
So, G, let me
as a
ask
player.
you this. I'm going to pose this question to the 3 years, right? Sidebar, because G brings up a very good one with Lamar and Josh. Lamar, to me, Lamar Jackson, great guy. Again, another guy easy to root for. I always said, to me, it was just the pocket, right? It was like the minute the lower body went, it was going to be a problem. And also how he performed in the playoffs, right? But no one would argue that GM in Baltimore has been phenomenal. They've had great teams, and they've had arguably a great, one of the greatest coaches, right? So to me, Josh, let me propose this question to you guys. I'm all about loyalty. Because Vargas, you were mentioning baseball and other things. You could get a Mike Trout. He should have left the Angels and went to the Yankees or went somewhere, try to win that World Series for his legacy. We wouldn't have considered in baseball chasing a World Series, right? I mean, a ring. Should Josh leave the Bills? At what point does Josh turn around and now have to look at it, go, do I go join a different organization? Is that the route he goes?
I don't know. I mean, he is Buffalo. You know what I'm saying? He is what Buffalo is right now. He is the Bills, kind of like how Burrow is Cincinnati,
But
you know,
no,
minus.
John, remember, you're talking about age. Josh Allen's not only the best quarterback in the league now, he may be the most complete quarterback we've ever seen.
Yeah,
Body
I-
size, legs,
Yeah.
ability to run, toughness. Dude, the guy, listen, he's Cam Newton with a better arm. I mean, my thing with Cam Newton was, you know, linebackers, he's as big as the linebackers, Cam Newton. But to me, there was no accuracy. To me, Josh Allen is a specimen we probably haven't seen in the NFL from a totality standpoint. On strength. All
Yeah,
that stuff.
absolutely.
Yeah.
But I also think like like how I was talking before, like how we look at football players. I think Josh Allen's the best quarterback in the league. But at the same time, right? Like Jalen Hurts won a Super Bowl and went to 2.
Yeah.
Like you understand what I'm saying?
But that's my point. So let me ask you this. Take Josh Allen. So we can't do this. We do this shit in sports all the time. But take Josh Allen, put him on the Eagles roster. What are we talking about with Saquon Barkley and AJ Brown?
That's
like,
crazy.
this is what I'm saying.
More than one Super
What
Bowl.
I'm saying is, does Josh Allen have
Yeah.
3 Super Bowls to Jalen
Maybe.
Hurts' 1?
Right. No, I understand what you're saying.
This is all I'm saying, right? Take Josh Allen and listen, I made this argument. Again, here we go. Again, if anyone listens to this.
And to be fair, before you even continue, to be fair, that head coach that they had in there for those 5 years that he was on there, and I know people in Buffalo, you say that he is not a good coach. That guy.
No, McDermott.
He's not.
No.
He was. Not
I think
a
he
great
made
coach.
horrible coaching decisions. Now, gee,
Yeah.
I'll end up with people. If I ever ended up where people listen to this podcast, people will roast me for this. But I'm ready. I'm serious. I'm dead serious about this. No one could convince me that if you swapped Mahomes and Allen, that Allen wouldn't have as many, if not more, Super Bowls with the Chiefs. I don't think Allen loses to the Bucks team if he's on the if he's on the Chiefs team. You give Josh Allen, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, Andy Reid. You give him that career. You're telling me you would bet that Allen doesn't have the Super Bowls Mahomes has? Let's swap their rosters. Put Mahomes
oh,
on
yeah,
the
for sure.
Bills and put Allen on the Chiefs.
I
But
don't
how
know.
about Joe? You don't even have to go that far, Joe. How about you just take it from G's point of view, the questions he had? Take Purdy off the Niners the
And
last
put
4
Allen on the
years
Niners.
and put Allen on the Niners.
Yeah.
That team might have already won 2 Super Bowls.
But this
Yeah.
is my point. So I'm asking you, Nick and G, the question of at what point, because Allen, let's face it, Allen's another one, like Lamar Jackson. Good guy, good husband, good father. Now he's a father. The community loves him. All this stuff, right? He's probably super loyal. He probably wants to win a Super Bowl for Buffalo as much as anybody that's ever played there. Okay?
Yeah, I agree.
At what point, if you're his agent, G, do you turn around, Nick, and say to him, we got to do something?
So let me ask you this. I mean, do you think it taints it a little bit if he does that? Like, do you like, because I look at it as, okay, so he is Buffalo, right?
Mhm.
And then he jumps ship to a team that is now stacked.
Well,
And he wins.
define stacked. I would make the argument you could throw Josh Allen on the Jets right now, and the Bills and the Jets completely swap spots.
I don't think it taints it because I think what you can do is you look at the Josh Allen situation, very similar to the Matthew Stafford situation.
And that was my next question. I mean, do you think the
Because
Stafford-
that Stafford winning with the Rams, like, did that taint his legacy
No,
of
it
being a great
improved it.
quarterback?
Everyone knew he was a stud in Detroit. They're like, he needs to get out
Right.
of Detroit. Now, listen,
Yeah.
we don't look at Buffaloes the way we look at the Lions. We look at the Lions in the same bucket as the Browns and the Jets and all these teams, right?
Where people
But-
just go to die.
Yeah, where careers are like, listen, Beckham had that where him and Landry went to the Browns. You forgot that part of his career, right? Like it just, you lose that. So everyone was like, the minute Stafford needed to get out of there, right? But that's my point. I think my question derives from that, G, is at what point, age-wise, because what was Stafford, 34, 35? When he said, I got to go. We're going to move on. This experiment was great. I think the Lions and him were okay with parting ways at that point, right? Do you do that if you're Josh Allen? That's my question to the three of you. At what point does that happen?
I think it's scenario and it would be the right time at the right place. Like I think it's almost like the Brady thing. Like to me, when Brady went to Tampa and won, it was the perfect scenario. Tampa was built to win now. They just didn't have the quarterback. You had Winston who it just wasn't working out there, but Tampa had all the weapons in the world. They had a super young defense that was really strong. It was like, listen, Tom Brady, he is a master at analyzing, not just on the field, but off the field.
Yeah.
Well, what was the
and
like
rumor,
you
G,
said,
right?
Joe,
What was the rumor, John? It was Tampa or the Niners roster.
or the Niners.
Right?
Yeah.
Like,
And I just think
mean,
Tampa
Brady's
was the
not
best fit.
stupid. Yeah.
No, he's not. And I think it was just the perfect fit for him being in Tampa. And to your credit, Joe, like, yeah, like take Allen off the Bills right now with the rosters exactly the same. Put him on the Jets. Who wins that division?
The Jets. This is
By
my
a
point.
landslide.
No,
By
but
a
this is my
landslide.
point.
Yeah.
The Jets and the Bills become completely switch spots if all you do is just take Allen and remove him. You got Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. They just drafted that kid, the wide receiver. I love that kid. The Jets have weapons.
To me, that's more
I
like
think
the
the
Brady
Jets have
situation.
more weapons than the Bills.
Right. That's my point too. Is like I think the Jets are almost like the Tampa situation with Brady. I think Allen has a better chance to win with the Jets now
Roster, yeah.
than roster wise
Defensively and
than he does
everything.
with the Bills.
Yeah.
Than he does
No,
with the
no, but
Bills.
that's my point. So, G, I
Yeah.
think the only difference, G, from what you're saying, if I'm reading you right, is when you talk about tainting, when Brady has 6 Super Bowls and goes to the Bucs and chooses his team, no one says Brady's choosing his team and it doesn't taint that Super Bowl because he's already proved he can win. Is that your point?
Right. Yeah.
Like Allen would be leaving with no Super Bowls and going to join a roster he could win with. I think though, G, and I'll let Nick and Vargas challenge me on this since I'm doing this with your question about your comment about tainting. In basketball, it feels different than in the NFL. You want to know why? Because in the NFL, you have all these players. You got defense and offense. You got 53-man roster. With the quarterback, I always say this, quarterback is like the president of the United States. Gets too much credit for the wins, too much blame for the losses, right? They don't, right? Like in basketball, if LeBron left and went somewhere and to go join Wade and Bosch, you have 12 guys on a roster. All he needed was Wade and Bosch to go chase titles, right?
Yeah.
Football, everything's got to fall into place. There's injury, there's this. You could choose a roster, but I don't know that it taints it in the NFL than it does in like a sport like basketball. But I get what you're saying. He would be going, unlike Brady, he'd be going with no history of winning, maybe not even getting to a Super Bowl. And then if he goes and joins someone like the Rams, like Stafford did, does that taint it? I think it feels to me like Stafford.
Well, yeah. I mean, take certain quarterback like Eli Manning, right? My view of him winning the Super Bowl is very different than Stafford, right? Because it like, I don't know, it to me, it's a different feel from a team, like a team build up, where it's like somebody who goes through the hard work, right? Who goes through the hard work, does all the hard work with his team, gets the chemistry, right? And makes everybody around them better, right? Instead of going into a spot, doesn't mean that they're any less. I don't know. To me,
So
it's
let
just
me
kind of
ask
like,
you this then, because this is important. Let me ask you this then. That's a good point. Let me ask you this though. Eli, and I'm a fan of this. I say this all the time. People say Eli got carried by two defenses. People don't realize the 2011 run to the Super Bowl, Eli was unconscious. I don't think people realize.
dude, I'm telling you
that guy was unbelievable. It's to me the 2011 playoff run is the reason Eli needs to be in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah,
because he has 2 rings, but that 2011 run. So I understand what you're saying, but let me ask you this: you're doing a project with 5 people, and you're doing all your work that gets the group an A, but everyone around you is not doing enough work, and the group keeps getting a C. You just go join a group where everyone's going to do their part, and the group gets an A. Now, to me, that's Stafford going to the Rams. My point is like, you have 53 men on that roster. You got 2 defenses. So I could play quarterback and score 1,000 points, Vargas. But if my defense lets up 1,050, we're a 500 team. So to me, it feels different.
Right, but at the same, again,
Do you think Stafford? Let me ask you a question. Detroit. I'll give you Detroit. 2 Detroit scenarios. Do you think Barry Sanders and Matthew Stafford didn't elevate their teammates on offense?
Oh, for sure.
Okay. Barry
sure.
got to 1 playoff game, right? And Stafford got to, I don't know, how many times did Detroit make the playoffs with Stafford? Twice? I don't even know.
Did they make one with Calvin?
But what I'm saying is he had Megatron, right? Right? So I don't know that anyone would say that Stafford and Megatron didn't do everything they could to elevate that offense. Well, here's the problem. There's 20 other guys that are on that field between the offense and the defense. Does that make sense, G?
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I guess what I'm saying from the standpoint of, there's some level, I'm trying to find the right word for it. It makes sense, but there's something about the leadership that you make people who are average better.
Right.
Right. And yes, people who are good, you make great. It's a matter of getting those who are below average, who can play average or better. Right. So from a leadership perspective, I'm saying from a,
so let's
like Mahomes.
Let's take a quick vote from the 3 years.
Yeah.
Has Allen elevated average guys to be good on that offense the last 5 years?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
I think so, yeah.
I'm 50-50. I mean, I'm not
He's turned Dawson. He's turned Dawson Knox into a Pro Bowl tight
end. I got a good question. So when Brady went to Tampa, I'm a huge Bucs fan, so I follow everything with the Bucs. When he went to Tampa, that team was already stacked. outside of Jameson, who I like Winston Jameson, but he's not elite, right? Let's be fair. He's not an elite quarterback. But when he went there and he won the Super Bowl, like all the players in consensus said, like day one, Brady walked through the door, he changed the complete culture of the team. Like, not just him being like, he literally changed the culture. How guys showed up to practice, how he was running the team as the captain, how he took over that team, and the whole team said, like, the whole culture of the organization changed when he walked in.
But he had the aura
Take-
already, right?
I understand that, but look at it this way. And like I said, I'll use G's team as an example. Take all the players on the Niners, okay? Josh Allen walks through the door and they don't have Purdy to start the season, and Allen is the quarterback. You don't think he changes the way those players now look at themselves
Oh yeah.
moving forward for that season? You don't think they're like, oh, wait a second, we got Josh Allen now. Like, wait a second. This is a different feel here now. Like, it completely will change the culture of the team. Got walking on that team.
Well, that's why.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's why I was. Go ahead.
To go back to like, let's not to that extent, like not to that extreme extent. I feel like the Josh Allen situation is like LeBron before he went to Miami. It's like they just don't give him help at all. The Bills, zero help.
And that's fine, but in basketball, that's looked at differently, right? Like to G's point, I would look at that differently in basketball. So G, you and I agree because we grew up together. The Michael Jordan staying there and watching that thing develop in culture and into then hiring Phil Jackson and drafting Scottie Pippen and doing it homegrown feels different than LeBron bouncing around, right? I think in football, to me, football meets a little bit different, right? I don't think anyone would argue that the journey Darnold took makes his Super Bowl any less impressive, right? I mean, Darnold's played for what, 4 teams? Right. So what I'm saying is, and that was different because he didn't hop. He had to hop. I get it. And Allen would be hopping. But it's an interesting conversation, G, because I do think based on what Vargas just described, if Allen walks into the Niners locker room and how the culture of that team would feel. And listen, whether Shanahan would admit it or not, when he goes home to his wife, he's giggling uncontrollably like a little girl that he has Josh Allen and not Brock Purdy. Let's be honest, right?
Oh, for sure.
Okay.
Oh,
okay.
yeah.
So
totally.
what I'm saying to you is, I think the Bills have failed him that much. Yeah, I guess is my overall point.
No, and I'm not saying that.
Walk away from that.
No. And I'm not saying. So put it this way, I wouldn't blame Josh Allen for leaving. You know what I'm saying? I think he has every right to do it, right? And I totally agree.
Should he?
Should he?
Yeah. And at what point?
I mean,
Vargas said he hits 33, 34. That starts becoming an interesting conversation. So I'm going off of Vargas and I'm saying, would you, if you were him, one, and if you would, when would that be? Another 2 years of you guys not doing something in Buffalo? Is it 3 years? What are you giving it? The rest of your contract in Buffalo?
I give it this year.
Oh, wow.
I give it this year.
I agree with you.
No, I give it this year. I mean, I think was it past year or two, they give him nothing, right? I mean, Stephon Diggs left, right? Yeah, no wide receiver support. You know, like I said, he made those, again, a little better around him, not all, but you know what I'm saying? Like, but if you compare that to, let's say, Brady, right? Very different, right? Brady had, outside of Moss, right? Any kind of player that kind of came in, right? You know, no names that came out of nowhere. Was it Elderman, right?
Yeah. See, but that even feels different to me. You want to know why? Because I'm going to say something. You listen. You don't say anything about the GOAT, but it's been my opinion, Vargas, and you guys could disagree, that Brady got something Josh Allen didn't get. To me, it was Brady walks in to a situation where Bledsoe is the quarterback. Belichick's the head coach. So you got an established head coach. You got a defense. Ty Law, Teddy Bruschi.
Defense is
okay.
phenomenal.
So I would argue that Brady had the luxury of that defense carrying him to at least the first 2 or 3 Super Bowls
Agreed.
before the
Yeah.
defense started going this way.
And then he
And
had to
the
start winning.
offense started winning Super Bowls, like when they won 38-35 against Seattle or whatever. Then all of a sudden it was like, that's why I always had the argument was when a quarterback gets to leave the most important position on the field, just gets to walk away and go join the Bucks and pick his next situation, and Belichick is left to rebuild and now try to replace not only the toughest position to replace, but the greatest to play that position. And we said, oh, clearly it was Brady, not Belichick. I think that was unfair to Belichick because Brady got to go
totally.
choose his next
No,
situation, right?
totally.
So to me, Brady got to mature into that role. Josh Allen got drafted into that role like, hey, dude, we suck. We're picking you in the first round. You need to come win us a Super Bowl. So to me, it feels different for Josh.
And I have a question. Does them having a new stadium also add on to that pressure for Josh?
Oh, Nick, that's a phenomenal point. Because does it add to not only-
Expectations are
Yeah,
huge
the
now.
expectations
That,
are
I
huge
agree.
now.
That's
That's an
yeah.
excellent point, and I'll give you credit on this because I'll tell you why it fits to G's narrative.
Because
So
what you're
G just
looking
said
at by building that stadium,
It's-
what you're saying in Buffalo is you're saying
Josh will be
not o- exactly. This
That's right.
is he is the franchise. Like that is basically what you're saying.
which Nick,
with
which
Allen.
is why with you and Gia, like I give it this year. I don't know that they build that stadium if they think Josh is out
Yeah.
in
That's
any
true.
way,
That's
right?
true.
No, I totally agree. But I think from a Josh Allen perspective, it comes down to support, right?
Right.
So if he feels he's not getting the right support, you know what I'm saying? To your point, right? There's got to be from a quarterback perspective, right? You got to have a feel, right, of the players around you, right, on what you need from a support. Because if you're going to go out shopping, right, that's what you're doing, right? You're going shopping for teams, for players who are going to, right, basically support your success on top of a defense, right? The other aspects of everything like that, which are too on the same thing for the Bills, right? Are you building the defense, right, that is needed to win championships? So I think at his age, where he is right now, kind of in that prime, I think you give it this year, change of coach, right? It's kind of a little bit of state of influx, right? A little bit, it goes south, right? I mean, this year, I think that anything that 8-8, 9, I'd say 9-7
They
below.
can, I don't even think,
below.
they can have a winning record. I don't think they could lose the division of the Patriots again.
Yeah,
I think
literally.
that would be a fail.
No, and
Yeah,
that's
I
why
agree.
I'll let you know in the next segment my thoughts on that. Gig.
And you know what? Let me ask you
So
this. Let me ask-
Vargas, I want you to go now. I want you to jump on, to continue that.
Yeah.
If you're Josh Allen, at what age? I know what age I have in my head, but do you leave? And at what age is your final? Like, all right, I got to go do something else.
Well, here's the thing. I was just thinking about this. So like Allen's got a 5-year deal. So he's signed through 2030. Okay. Let me tell you something. Purdy signed through 2030 as well. Okay. And you know what? Kudos to Brock Purdy's agent because the Niners immensely overpaid for this guy. He's getting $40 million a year, $181 million guaranteed with a full no trade clause. So this guy,
By the way, the no trade clause is the brilliant part. Right?
Oh my
Acting
God.
like kids Tom Brady.
Signed through 2030. My question is, who lasts through 2030? I wonder if the Niners at some point just say, we'll pay him whatever we have left on the thing. We might need to move on. Like we can't stay through
Brock
2030.
Purdy doesn't see
with
the
him.
end of that contract, Vargas. I don't even think G believes that.
I don't think he's going to see the end of that contract.
don't
I think
so.
they'll pay him, but I think the Niners will release him.
Because we have this other
before
segment,
that.
right? We have this segment of hot takes, which Jesus. But I have to tell you, we're talking about hot seat and pressure. How many more years do the Niners stick with Shanahan? So you if you're Shanahan, how long you hitching your wagon to Brock
And
Purdy?
just clean up shop.
I don't know.
completely.
Be tough.
It's gonna be
I don't
tough.
know. I don't know. That's going to be a tough question.
And
That's
you
why.
know,
That's
and-
why I think like the biggest like that when we were talking about the pressure and like I thought like the question with Josh Allen. I mean, he's got 5 years left on that deal. How long do you want to stay? Because I agree with you, Joe. I think it's more of Buffalo failed him rather than him failing Buffalo. It's kind of like the Marino thing.
Yeah.
Like I think
Yeah.
they
They
failed him
never
more
gave
than
him a
he failed
defense,
them.
Marino.
Right. And I just feel like at some point, if Allen wants to have a legacy as a Super Bowl winning quarterback, he might have to leave Buffalo because I'm not sure he can win in Buffalo. I don't know if he can.
You know what? You know what the problem is, bro? You know what the problem is? Dan Marino, although played in the era that we would agree with is our favorite era because we grew up with it, so we'll always say that our era was the best. But Dan Marino not winning the Super Bowl didn't change the argument if you talk about the quarterbacks Dan Marino played with, because Montana, Marino was a rookie and went to the Super Bowl and lost to Montana, right? But if you talk about who's in Montana's class, it was Elway. It was Jim Kelly. It was in that group of quarterbacks, right?
Yep.
If you're in the Favre, those kind of. Would you take Brett Favre or Jim Kelly or maybe Elway? But who do you take over Dan Marino? None of them, and they all have Super Bowls, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Here's the problem for Allen. He's in an era with Mahomes. If he ever wants to be considered as the best quarterback ever, or
he has to
in
win
the conversation with Mahomes,
he
can't have no Super Bowls,
right?
Because I think he's a better quarterback than Mahomes. But it's hard for me to win that argument at the end of the career if Mahomes is 3-0 in Super Bowls,
right? I agree.
3-0 to Josh Allen's. So
and I think he's going to have to decide how much he wants it, because football, unlike the other sports with these contracts, like Allen could get traded, but he would have to be willing to eat money. How much do you want to win?
Oh, I don't think Allen cares. I think Allen.
That's my point, though. Like he, in order for them to move him, he would have to eat money. So he would have to decide. Okay, listen, I don't mind eating the money. Like I want to win. I want to find that situation.
You know
where
why
I can win.
he'll eat the money, John? Because someone's going to pay him a ton of money on the other end, right? I mean, he's still going to get max money. Here's to me. You see the scale?
Allen's problem is he's kind of like Trout and similar to Marino, where he's loyal to a fault. So
this is my scale. You ready, G? This is my scale. Unfortunately for the Bills and the city of Buffalo, Josh Allen is so loyal and such a good guy. He loves Buffalo this much and wants to win this much, right? So he wants to win, but he doesn't want to not do it in Buffalo. My scale for age is going to start. It's going to be when it goes like this.
Yeah.
When he starts going, I want to win so much now that I don't care where it is.
I don't think Stafford wanted to leave Detroit.
I don't think so.
I think he loved Detroit, and I think he was happy with the owners and in the direction that the franchise was going. I think the franchise wanted to just change. It worked out for him.
Yeah.
But I think Stafford's kind of the same way. I think he's a loyal guy. It happened to work out for him. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. The age starts to even the scale a little bit. You got to make a decision.
It's like, so anyway, I know I derailed us with that, but Josh Allen, G, was such a good one because, I don't know if Nick and John were gonna mention his name, but it just makes me wonder, what's next for that guy? Because to me, I think it feels different than Lamar. Lamar to me feels like if you don't win in Baltimore in this next year, Baltimore moves on, and now Lamar will go get another starting job, but he won't be considered as you won't start this conversation ever again with who has the most pressure. Oh, Lamar Jackson's going to win. You'll never hear that.
Right. And the major thing there, I think the difference is that you put Josh Allen on any of the teams for Lamar, they win the Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude,
I think that's the difference on the pressure side, right? On that aspect, you have like a Marino, right? You have a generational talent, right? Fully capable, right? Having the ability to definitely win the Super Bowl, right? And not able to get it done. I think to your point, from Marino in a generational standpoint, which I think puts Marino, like you're mentioning, like who's the guy you picking, right? Marino. But if you look at that era, right, there was nobody like Marino. You know what I'm saying? Nobody threw those numbers.
No, by the way, 5,000 yards in a season when you can grab wide receivers, Vargas. The D-backs could bump and run and grab.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and that's the difference, I think.
And the guy couldn't run. He couldn't even move.
He couldn't even move. He wasn't scrambling.
So I think that's maybe a little bit different if you do that comparison with Marino and, you know, and Josh, right? And that aspect of it is that he has to win. You know what I'm saying? Or he's got to put up crazy numbers. You know what I'm saying? He's got to put up like numbers that nobody's ever seen
Yeah,
before.
Video game type numbers.
Like video game type numbers, Nick.
Right.
Yeah.
In order to go above Mahomes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like not win, but
Well,
then
because
basically
he
say, who do
stares,
you
G,
pick
he's staring
overall?
at Mahomes. Everywhere he goes, he's staring at that guy.
Yeah.
Right? And what he's accomplished. Right?
And Mahomes
just
is
goes to
smart.
show you-
Mahomes, that the last year, he did what Brady did, restructured his contract,
No, and listen,
took less money
listen,
to try
and
to
this is
sign
gonna be,
better
this is going to
players.
be another very unpopular take, but I don't know if anyone's been paying attention, but Mahomes has gotten worse the last 3 years, not better.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Okay. So say what you want, but to me, Josh Allen's got to stare at that guy. And listen, I'll tell you the one last thing about Marino. I'll never forget. I was watching Good Morning Football. G, the show on the NFL
Yep.
Network. And they were asking. Joe Montana was a guest on. I think it was Good Morning Football. He was a guest on the NFL Network. And one of the guys was asking him, hey, in today's NFL, when you can't touch the quarterback and it's a passing league and the wide receivers can't be touched, like, how many Super Bowls would you want? How unstoppable would Jerry Rice have been? Is the question they asked him, right? Like, how unstoppable would Jerry Rice had been? And he obviously, that's his boy, Jerry Rice. Yeah, would be unstoppable. But you know what he said, and it wasn't even part of the conversation. I'm actually, this is not verbatim. I'm ad libbing here, but they were mentioning Jerry Rice and how unstoppable he'd be. Joe Montana turned around and goes, "You wouldn't be able to get Dan Marino off the field."
That's true, dude.
In today's NFL, right? And so the ultimate respect there from Joe Montana to Dan Marino, right? That Dan Marino wasn't even part of the conversation, right? And he said, forget about all what we're talking about. You wouldn't be able to get Dan Marino off the field. And so to me, Josh Allen, it's going to look different for Josh Allen if he doesn't win a Super Bowl because he played in an era with Mahomes.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, like, you have to put up numbers, right, that are outrageous in order to overcome that, right? In order to overcome Mahomes, right? Similar to Montana, right?
Mhm.
I mean, same kind of thing, right? Marino's able to do that because he just threw up statistics that were just unreal for that era, right? Of everybody
Where
else.
you could
right?
turn around and go, the Dolphins just failed them, right?
Right.
Right. That became the
No,
narrative,
exactly. Right.
right?
But on
It's not
top
that
of him
Marino's
still
not a
putting up those
winner.
numbers.
Yeah, it's not that Marino's not a winner. It's the Dolphins failed him. That's
Right.
And
You're gonna have
unfortunately, one Super Bowl he had to be in is against Joe Montana.
well. Also, he was a rookie,
Yeah.
right? He was a
Yeah.
rookie against Montana, and the Niners were established. I mean,
I think
gee,
the other scenario you have with Allen would be like he finishes out the contract, maybe even signs another extension with them, and what you end up having is like an Elway situation, where Elway, like let's be honest, Elway won those back-to-back Super Bowls and retired. Elway was a shell of what he was at that point. He was a shell. He
well,
was listen.
Those
those two Super Bowls he won,
like
Shannon
remember,
and the defense on that
The
team, you had
Shannon Sharp at tight end.
Shannon
like
Sharp.
they finally put a piece around him.
Yes.
You know what though? He didn't have to be Elway at that point. Remember the run where he goes for
Right.
the first down, they spin him in a helicopter.
But if
Yeah.
he doesn't win those two Super Bowls, that's a parallel to what Josh Allen.
And gee, you could look it up.
Is
'cause
gonna be.
You're right there. I don't know if you got a computer. Vargas could look it up. He don't win those two Super Bowls. I think Elway's 0-5.
Yes.
Right?
He
To
would have
me-
been 0-5 in the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, Elway doesn't get enough credit because Elway was Mahomes and those guys before Mahomes and those guys. Right? Like to me,
Yeah.
Elway was a dog. You're right. If you don't win those two Super Bowls, but they went and got him Terrell Davis and Shannon Sharp, and he had all these guys.
Right.
Right. But more importantly,
That would be the only way
it
that
finally came
Allen
together.
wins moving
Buffalo
forward.
would have to do that for
Right.
Josh Allen. Right.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
that would all right. Well, gee, man, you did such a good job. We spent
That
so
was
much time. Vargas, give me your under pressure, hot seat, teams, coaches, players. It doesn't matter. Whoever you got.
I think hot seat as far as teams.
Teams,
know
coaches, or players.
We talked about I would say teams, my biggest hot seat, and player. I don't think so much of a player. It would be more like the organization. Like to me, this is the best team Dallas has had in a while moving forward.
Mhm.
Like, and I understand the NFC is jacked. with the Rams, with the Niners, with the Seahawks. But to me, I think the NFC East is Dallas's to lose. I think they are clearly the best team in the NFC East, and there's no reason they should be a minimum a 2 seed going into the playoffs, right? Because I think the 1 seed may come out of the West, or they'll just beat each other up in the West, and Dallas will be the 1 seed. But to me, this is Dallas's division to lose, seeding to lose. I think this is got a lot of expectation on the Dallas Cowboys moving forward to try to get to, like, again, you don't have to win. Dak's got to get to a Super Bowl. Like, this is a lot of pressure now for him. He has to get to a Super Bowl. I don't think people who don't know a lot about football didn't give Dak enough credit last year. The guy put up MVP numbers last year.
I mean, he was enough credit for the last 10 years.
He was amazing last year. I mean, he single-handedly won games for the Cowboys. And he had heartbreaking losses on defense with the Cowboys defense. I mean, to me, there's a lot of pressure on him. The other pressure, I would say, probably coming out of the AFC to me, and I said this the last time we talked about football, was like, I don't know what's going on with Joe Burrow and the Bengals. I mean, I don't know if he stays on the Bengals or if the Bengals are going to continue to move forward the way they're moving forward if they don't do anything this year. If he comes back healthy, the Bengals are a really good team. If it is an injury or the team doesn't play well and they get off to a slow start, do you just bust that up after that?
Yeah.
That's a big question.
Yeah. So I'll tell you this. And I'll let Nick and G respond to that. The Bengals were on my under pressure, but for different. I think Zach Taylor, the head coach, I think he's on the hot seat to me, right? And it's a lot tied to that. The problem for them was they've done a really piss poor job defensively. I don't think it's been Joe Burrows in the offense, and now Joe Burrows got hurt last year.
No,
so
but injury
one-off.
prone. He's had
again,
injuries.
To me, Burrows and the Bengals. My hot take, I'll tell you now, my hot take is the Bengals win that division. I think if they improve defensively, you're gonna see because I do think Zach Taylor and Joe Burrows realize they're under a lot of pressure.
Yeah.
But I will
and they're a good team. They're not a bad
Oh,
team.
no, listen.
I picked them 2 months ago when we had this podcast.
Yeah.
That if Burrow's healthy, they probably win that division.
Yeah,
If Burrow's healthy, they have the talent.
I will tell you this: Joe Burrows, to me, is a world-class talent. I think the 3 best quarterbacks in the NFL right now, if you were to put a gun to my head, are Allen, Mahomes, and Burrows. To me, Burrows in Cincinnati feels a lot more like Stafford in Detroit than Allen in Buffalo, but it's just the same conversation we had. Stafford to me and Joe Burrows feel the same in Cincinnati and Detroit. And remember, Joe Burrows went to a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He beat the Chiefs in their prime. He did. Yeah. So clearly he's the guy, right? Right.
And almost beat him again the following year
and I
in
have
the
to tell you
AFC
something.
Championship.
You want to talk about a change of events? If you go back and watch the last play of that Super Bowl, people have talked about it. You talk about that Stafford's win. That's McVay. That's that defense with Aaron Donald, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, Joe Burrows, because of, I mean, listen, obviously he slips, but on that last play, Jamar Chase got behind the defense. He was wide open to win the Super Bowl. Right. Like Joe Burrows could have a Super Bowl where he beat Stafford, the Rams, knocked out the Chiefs in their prime. Clearly, I don't think this is a Joe Burrows thing. I don't question Joe Burrows. To me, Zach Taylor and the Cincinnati Bengals are under a lot of pressure because one of 2 things is going to happen. Zach Taylor is going to get fired at the end of this year if they don't win the division, and Joe Burrows is going to be the guy that moves on before Allen does.
I can see that. I think, to me, that's the biggest question is the Bengals, because I don't know, like, to me, their window is starting to close. And I know Burrow has still got like another 4 years left on his deal. He signed through 2029, but we all know contracts in the NFL don't mean anything. And at some point, he's going to have to decide, like, same thing with, and I think him, unlike Allen, I don't think he has as much loyalty to Cincinnati as Allen has to Buffalo. I don't think he would have a hesitation in the world to say, you know what, let's work something out. I want to go somewhere else.
I think Joe Burrows has a deeper loyalty to Jamar Chase than the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, that's a
I
strong
could see
receiver,
that.
yeah.
Yeah. I
You know-
believe that. I could see that.
I
Yeah.
could see where if Jamar Chase decided he wanted out of there because listen, let's be honest, Jamar Chase is going to get frustrated before Burrows does.
Yeah.
With
And you
Luke.
know what? It's a good thing Vaccaro's not on this podcast because the irony is, isn't it crazy that like put Burrow on the Jets tomorrow?
Oh yeah,
Bro, think about how good I'm glad Vaccaro's not here
no,
because the fact that they have no that is a good team,
mm-hmm.
minus not having a quarterback. That team is a star like
listen,
that type of quarterback
Vargas,
away.
My father doesn't like that either.
No, Vargas.
They're that good.
Vargas, don't worry. We're about to talk about that in hot takes. I promise. Nick, give me your who's under pressure.
Well, I just wanted to say about the Joe Burrow thing.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think the Joe Burrow thing is, yeah, I agree with you with the whole coaching thing because it's the opposite of what they're doing to not the opposite, but similar thing when they're doing to Josh Allen, except for
Burrows has weapons.
Yeah. Like Higgins and
Yeah, yeah.
Chase, but then Allen has the
Don't bring
offensive
the team.
line. Oh, sorry, offensive line and stuff like that, and the defense.
Yeah, to me, Burrows doesn't have the defense, just like the defense has failed Allen. But Joe Burrows cannot argue he doesn't have weapons.
And us, as
I mean, they got their running backs, a good player, Jamar Chase. They got the I'm blanking on the other wideout that they signed to big money, but they got weapons. I mean, Joe Burrows and the Bengals have weapons.
and as Giants fans, we love Dexter Lawrence, but I don't know how much that's gonna change the whole.
Listen,
defense, you know what I mean?
their defense is so abysmal. Dexter Lawrence can only help it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's
Oh,
one
their
of the best
defense is
defensive tackles
terrible.
in football.
Yeah, no, he's good.
He had an
He's
off
really good.
year last year with the Giants, but I think the Bengals having Dexter Lawrence is one of the reasons why in my hot takes I got them winning that division.
Yeah.
Right? And
Can you imagine having Jackson Dart and Joe Burrow in New York playing quarterback?
Oh.
That's it.
No, listen, Jet
Bro.
fans would lose their mind. Jet fans would be waiting for something to happen because Joe Burrows is young. So when
yeah.
when they got Aaron Rodgers, I know they
He's
lost
old.
I know
Right,
they lost
right.
their mind when he tore his Achilles because they're like,
Right.
we finally get Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't. Joe Burrows is young. I promise you, if the Jets got Joe Burrows, Vaccaro, his dad, they'd be waiting for a plane to hit the stadium or something. They'd be like, this is too good to be true. Something's going wrong.
But can you imagine the city with
Burrows
two
and Dart,
two quarterbacks?
those
who-
personalities.
oh my God.
Oh, by the way, good
Crazy.
looking kids,
Oh,
dating supermodels, dating Instagram
all over
models.
New York City.
Dude, it
all
would be
over.
like if Joe Namath had babies, right?
Right.
Like, and they became quarterback of the two NFL teams. They would be a fur coat away from being Joe Namath.
And an underwear
only,
commercial.
only with talent. And Joe Namath would kill me. That guy would probably old man strength. That guy would probably beat me up. No, Joe, I'm telling you, like that would be wild.
Yeah.
That would be absolutely wild. Who's your two?
But I picked. I put a lot of thought into this, and I picked C.J. Stroud after way he played in that game.
Nick, I love
Honestly.
you. This is what I wanted out of you. Do you know who's on my under pressure list? C.J. Stroud. C.J.
Ohio
Stroud.
State. Let's go.
C.J. Stroud. to
Bro,
me-
bug out.
dude, C.J. Stroud to me is out of a job
Yeah,
if he plays like he did
because
last
his
year.
rookie year, he was like, "Oh, I'm a top 5 quarterback in the league," and then he plays like that the next season. It's like,
Oh, he was abysmal.
yeah,
He
no.
wasn't bad. He kept the
That was
Te-
embarrassing to watch,
He-
honestly. And
he-
I like C.J. Stroud.
Listen, he kept the Texans from going to the Super Bowl. You
Oh, yeah.
never want your quarterback to be the reason you don't go to the Super Bowl, right? Like,
Texan fans were like, "We're going to the Super Bowl." He was like, "Nope."
no,
not happening.
listen, he
Hold
goes,
my beer.
Not on my
Hold my
watch.
beer.
Not on my watch, right? Like, listen, G, you talk about, we do a lot of this ifs, right? And we always say this, right? If ifs and buts were cherries and
Right.
nuts every day would be Christmas.
Yeah.
But you listen, just give Josh Allen the Texans defense. I don't even want you to move Josh Allen to a different team. Just give him that Texans
Yeah.
defense. And I swear to God, that guy won 3 Super Bowls in a row. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you put Josh Allen on that Texans team last year,
Oh yeah.
they're in the Super Bowl, right? So
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
like CJ Stroud, Nick, that's a good call out because to me, CJ Stroud and G's not going to like this, but the two quarterbacks I wrote down 3 quarterbacks. Well, actually, I wrote down 4, but I think we would all agree Watson is it. Like, you're going to get one shot if
Yeah.
you're Deshaun Watson this year in Cleveland, right?
Yeah.
They might still give him a shot. I don't think he should get the shot over Sanders. I really think you should give the kid the shot. Watson's the better quarterback, but he hasn't played in 2 years, right?
Yeah.
So to me, I wrote CJ Stroud, Brock Purdy, and JJ McCarthy. JJ McCarthy in Minnesota is about to lose his job
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah. Easy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and
Agreed,
I have
yeah.
to tell you, if he doesn't start for the Vikings this year, the JJ McCarthy thing is over in Minnesota.
I
Right?
agree.
I
with
mean,
that. Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
mean, if you want to talk about hot seat, I don't even think JJ McCarthy's on the hot seat. I think JJ McCarthy's having a really, really hot August because it's a preseason heat. It's
Yeah.
like you don't start game 1 and they start
Kyler.
Kyler Murray.
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy's done. I
Yeah.
think mentally he's done. Right?
Yeah.
Right?
You got
So-
Kyler Murray starting over you. No offense to Kyler Murray. You know, you're in the NFL, you're a great player, but like Kyler Murray starting over you, you got problems as a quarterback, bro.
Oh, 100%.
You're
No, I
I
think
mean,
the JJ McCarthy thing, I think there was a lot of people that were like, JJ McCarthy could play it in a couple games last year. I'm like, no, that dude's as hot and cold as my faucet. Like that guy is up and down, right? I'm being honest with
He
you.
turns
So-
into
so-
what's his name? Who was the quarterback who played for Texas a while back, like 10, 15 years? Came in and you just saw him like bouncing around. Was it what's his name?
Who do you play for?
For Texas.
Oh, the
Boy.
Longhorns?
Yeah. I mean, but like years ago.
Running quarterback, won the national title, beat USC.
Yes. Was it Coy?
He played.
No.
Didn't he get drafted by Tennessee? No, he didn't get drafted by Tennessee.
no, he got drafted by
You know who I'm talking.
Who's that?
Gee, I know
Yeah.
who you're talking about. He won.
He won the national championship
Vince,
that year.
Vince
Vince Young.
Young.
No,
Vince
not
Young.
Vince Young. The other one, Yo, and yeah, he played for Texas. Hold on, let me get.
Vince
Yeah.
Young played for Texas. Yeah, you can look it up.
No, yeah, Vince Young played for Texas. But I think it was before.
All right, you
Mhm.
can look it up. But no,
Right.
CJ Stroud's a good call out, Vargas, because I had him down too. I think
Oh,
there were a lot of people that were like after their rookie year, like, oh, the Panthers screwed up. They passed up on CJ Stroud to draft.
Oh, he's talking about
Young.
Colt McCoy. Are
He's
you
talking
talking about
about
Colt
McCoy,
McCoy?
yeah, Colt McCoy.
Colt McCoy. Remember that
Yeah.
guy?
Yeah, that's what.
He was
That's
just
what he
after.
was.
Yeah, he was
Jay
right after.
McCarthy
Young.
become just like him. He'll just
Yep.
show up every once in a while, back somebody
yeah.
up.
No,
Yeah.
that's a good call. JJ McCarthy's going to be Colt McCoy. No, 100%. Yeah, absolutely. But no, CJ Stroud to me is on the hot seat. That's a good call out. Who's your other one?
Oh, if I had to pick another one, probably.
Well, no, we do appreciate you did the least amount of work.
Well, no, I had a lot. I thought about this a lot, and I switched back and forth.
Who just switch back and forth? Give me the other one.
I thought about it. I didn't think it was going to be good, but Bryce Young.
No. Again, same draft class. Bryce Young now seems to be trending in the right direction. But guess
Yeah.
what? To your point, Vargas, I tell you what, and we'll talk about this in my hot takes, but Bryce Young and the Panthers have to take another step forward this year. I think if Bryce Young can't play exactly like he did last year, and
Yeah,
like
that's what I was.
last year was a step forward,
because everybody was like, "Oh, he doesn't have."
right?
weapons
Last year
around."
was a
Last-
step forward, but they got
last
some
year was-
wideouts in
Yeah.
Carolina now.
Yeah. Mhm.
Last year was a step forward for them.
Yeah.
I get it, but at the same time, like the playoff berth was a combination of a step forward and a complete collapse by Tampa.
Well, yeah,
Because when
that's
you're
true.
when
but
you're
you know
six
what,
when
John?
you're 6-2 and you can't finish,
That is true.
like
Listen,
like you're not just overtaking Tampa, you're getting help.
no,
Like,
no. That's listen. It was the Panthers took a step forward and the Bucks collapsed. But I will tell you this: I was at that Rams Panthers game. Bryce Young and that Panthers.
oh, that was a
offense
good game.
They
moving.
were trading blows with Stafford.
Yeah, they were moving.
in that
They were
Rams
moving the
offense.
ball.
I mean, there was a maturity in that game that I saw out of Bryce Young and that Panthers offense that made me think, okay, they got to build on that.
Mhm.
But to your point about being on the hot seat,
Yeah.
Bryce Young can't take a step back now.
Yeah, no.
No, I got to see that again.
Yeah,
I need to
he's
see
gotta
that
do it
again.
Yeah.
They got to do it again, and
You
he's
know.
got wideouts. He's got wideouts,
Mhm.
right? So that's definitely a good call out. I will tell you this, I put Brock Purdy, but I put Brock Purdy only because last year he gets the pass on all the injuries. And he did listen, this is where I give Brock Purdy credit, and I don't think you do as a Niner fan or even a lot of people do. Brock Purdy won some games last year where he threw for 348 yards. Like he was
Yeah.
slinging the ball around, right? Listen, they put Mac Jones in. They survived with Mac Jones for a little bit while Brock Purdy was hurt. But to me, he was injured last year. They had an injured team, and so I think Brock Purdy got kind of a slide through year. I think now, if the Niners are fully healthy in that division, the microscope on Brock Purdy this year with Shanahan, because like I said earlier, if you're Shanahan, how much longer are you hitching your wagon to Mr. Irrelevant? Even though he's panned out, it's sooner or later you get fired from your job if you stay on that track, right? So my thing is like, is Shanahan on the hot seat? No, I think Shanahan should have been the coach of the year. But Brock Purdy's under the microscope, and Shanahan's got to make a decision. This is a decision year where, Vargas, to your point, do the Niners just swallow that contract?
Yeah, I'm curious about that because to me, the Niners have the Niners outside of Purdy, you take him off the team. I'm not saying he's not good. He's a good quarterback. He's definitely he's a top quarterback, top 10 quarterback in the league.
Yeah.
But like when you look at the Niners talent on offense, I mean, at some point, if Purdy doesn't step forward and get this team to an NFC championship or a Super Bowl, you got to decide what you're doing moving forward. Because the team is too talented offensively with the clock ticking to not make a decision on what you do.
And listen, Vargas, I will tell you, this is why he gets a pass-through year. Because I think the year before that, they've been to a Super Bowl with him, right, G? So you guys went to the Super Bowl, lost, right? So to me, he gets that pass-through year. But to me, this next year is big for Brock Purdy, I believe. I think Brock Purdy is under that microscope this year, and I know a lot of people aren't going to say it, but I think he is, because I think that Shanahan is got to make a decision moving forward. If this is this really my guy, right?
Yeah, and I think that's the pressure, right? I think so you have fan expectations, right?
Right.
So you have like the Josh Allen, there's a fan expectation, right, of winning, right? I mean, personally, there's not a major expectation of Brock Purdy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is do not make a mistake, right? Kind of thing, right? The pressure I see there, expectations on Shanahan, right?
Yeah.
It's basically putting the pieces around Brock Purdy to be successful. Part of that is the defense, right? Which is that really outside of Shanahan's hands. But I think that's where the microscope is. I think it's Shanahan's hands microscope on Brock Purdy, not so much from a fan perspective.
But you know what?
Don't make a mistake. You're making $40 million a year.
No. But
don't make a mistake.
But that goes to the pay comment, right? But here's the thing, Vargas. We talked about time in the NFL or in sports in general.
Yeah.
I have to tell you something. We talk about C.J. Stroud. I talk about Brock Purdy. You know why I mentioned Brock Purdy, G? Is because if you're Shanahan and the pressure's all on you to put those pieces around him, well, you put the best left tackle in football around him, Trent Williams, right? You gave him George Kittle. Now you give him Mike Evans. He's had Christian McCaffrey, right? And again, when your defense, hold on, but when your defense is healthy, you guys went to the Super Bowl. My point is, so I want to throw something. I'm going to throw you all a little bit of a curveball. Next year, you have the deepest NFL draft since 2018 for the quarterback position. You might have 8 guys that could get drafted in the first 2 rounds next year.
Yeah.
Okay. If you're Shanahan and the Niners, does that speed up your clock? Because what will help you? You know what helps you swallow a $40 million a year Brock Purdy? When you don't have to pay the rookie quarterback too much for the next 4 or 5 years
and you could eat some of the contract
with the rookie option, right?
Right.
So does that clock? And I'm not just talking about Purdy, G, but there are other teams out there. Does that C.J. Stroud and the Texans? Does that speed up the clock on them, knowing that next year, Arch Manning, Chambliss, Moore, all these guys come out next year? Does that speed up the clock on some of these guys that I wrote down, right? And that's my question.
Well, I think for certain guys, yes. I think Brock Purdy, yes, because I think there's a different expectation for a Mr. Irrelevant, right, than a first-round pick quarterback, right? So I think there's a little bit different there, right? from that aspect of it. And I also think Shanahan, to your point, I think there's a little bit of a hot seat, right? Nobody wants to admit it or even talk about it, but I think there's something there. It's like, you've gone close, but couldn't finish it.
You've been
right?
to 2 Super Bowls, right? Lost them
Right.
both.
Lost them both, right?
And by the way, if you ask Shanahan, if you got him on a lie detector, G, Shanahan's going to tell you what. The quarterbacks are what lost him the Super Bowls. Not his team, not his coaching. Shanahan I bet you Shanahan, in places he doesn't want to talk to anybody about,
I agree.
would admit that if he had Matt Ryan on those teams, he wins Super Bowls.
Yes, 100%.
If I had Matt instead of Jimmy, I win that Super Bowl.
If I could have taken Matt with me from Atlanta, who knows my offense, and had that same team against the Chiefs, we win that Super Bowl because Matt Ryan doesn't fold in the fourth quarter. Remember, the Niners had that Super Bowl. The Chiefs came back and won it in the fourth quarter, right? Up to that point, the Niners defense had owned the Chiefs offense. It was that one play downfield where Tyreek got loose, what changed the whole fourth quarter. But up to that point, Garoppolo and that offense had disappeared for a quarter and a half in the second half, right? I think Shanahan will tell you, if I have Matt Ryan, that's different, right?
Dude, if he hits what's his name on that post, Garoppolo, Niners win it. Remember? I don't know if you remember.
But this is
his
what
name?
I'm talking
Sanders,
about.
right?
So my point is, if you would ask Shanahan, he'll tell you, no, Brock Purdy's his guy. But with that draft looming, Vargas, this is why I have CJ Stroud, drop Brock Purdy. This is why I have these guys. I know the contract's a problem. I know there's a lot of people like, they're not going to eat that much money. But I'll tell you what, man, if you're Shanahan, you and I could argue he could have been the coach of the year this year, 12-4 with all those injuries. But gee, it's the NFL. That the little thing on the oven that goes from 2 to 8 goes up quick.
Well, and I think
Boris.
No, and I think also that, like what you're talking about, like with the deep quarterback draft, I think that's changed the perspective of a lot of teams, like including a team like we talked about before, like the Jets, like just going with Geno Smith, because I don't think they believe in Geno Smith.
No.
They're waiting on that draft.
That's right.
The Jets have a lot of draft picks and they have a lot of players that they can use. They're going to draft a lot of guys in the first round. They could use those draft picks to move higher up in the draft to get the guy they want.
So
I think the Jets, I'm gonna give you, bro, they're a year or so away.
G's looking this up. G's looking this up, but you remember, you tell Dad I said this, because I've been saying this the whole time, that the Jets GM has done a better job than people think.
Great job.
I'm going to give you my hot take right now. I think the Jets roster is so good. I think the Jets are going to pull a Jets. And in the deepest quarterback draft, they're going to find a way to win 6 games this year.
You've been saying that
they're
for a
going to
while.
fall. I
Probably
bet
not
you
wrong.
they're not going to be in the first 3 picks. I think in a year they need to be in the. Now, here's the thing that's going to save them. They have 3 first-round picks to trade up.
Correct.
So I think the Jets are going to be fine.
That's what I'm
but
saying.
My thing is
and they don't need to trade up to the top 3. They need to trade up to the top 6.
Oh, that's right. And
they only need to be in the top 6.
I think if you win 6 games, you're probably what? You're still just top 10. Right? You can look it up. But I will tell you, the Jets over/under in Vegas is 5.5. I think the Jets are going to hit the over. I think the Jets roster is that good, and Breece Hall's that good, and that Geno Smith is just going to do enough with that defense to because remember, the Dolphins are rebuilding, so you could give the Jets one of those 2 games, or maybe both, right? And so I think that the Jets are going to, that's my hot take, the Jets are going to win 6 games this year, and in a year that the Jet fans want them to win none, they're going to win 6.
I don't think they're going to go wrong, though, with that draft. I think that draft is loaded. I think the Jets having the draft picks is going to enable them to move up. And I think the way that their roster is accumulated right now, their roster is so young. You're going to get that young quarterback that's going to develop with those guys. Yep. And if you get the right guy, the right coach, and you develop them right, this team will be a very dangerous team.
I think the Jets have bigger issues, Nick.
And then when that happens, my father will cry again. Like
he'll cry. Anthony will have to do another episode of him crying, and that will get another 60,000 views. So listen, I will tell you, you know what the biggest problem, G, is for the Jets, Vargas, is this is all lining up nicely for the Jets. Which sounds to Jet fans like, oh shit, Ken O'Brien's got, right? Like this is the 1983 draft where they passed on Marino and they draft Ken O'Brien. To me, I said this to your father, and I'll say this. I said this to Vaccaro. The Jets need to be protected from themselves next draft. I think the best thing that could happen to the Jets is they win 6 games, and they have to use those picks to go up to 3 or 4, and they have no shot at Arch Manning. Because I think the Jets get the number 1 pick. There is 0 chance in the city of New York you could pass on Arch Manning, and I don't think he's the quarterback they need. I
Yeah,
think
I
in that
agree.
draft,
100%.
I
100%.
think the Jets will be forced, gun to their head, to go get a
Mhm.
Manning, right? And I
Yep.
think it will be the wrong pick.
Yeah.
I think the Jets need Arizona and teams like that to save them the trouble and finish in 1-2. And the Jets finish like 5th or 6th and have to move up to 3rd to get to me, I'll tell you this. You talked about Burrows and Dart. I would love to see Chambliss and Dart, 2 Ole Miss guys. I think Chambliss jumps off the screen to me. That's a
Mhm.
whole different topic that I'm calling my shot on it. All the quarterbacks coming out of that draft, I like Chambliss. But what I'm saying is, I think the Jets' only problem, G, is too many choices.
No, you're right, man. I'm with you.
Right?
I totally
It's
agree.
one thing. Listen,
totally agree.
if you're the Jets and you have the number 1 pick and Peyton Manning or Andrew Luck is coming out, that's an easy one, right?
Yeah.
But the Jets are gonna have 6 quarterbacks that they could
Yeah.
choose from, right?
And they'll wind up picking the wrong one.
A
Like,
100%.
the worst one, like
And-
the worst of the whole quarterback draft.
No,
The-
no,
They'll
Gee,
take
Ken
Dante
O'Brien-
Moore out of Oregon, and he'll be a bust.
Yeah,
Is
Dante
what's
Moore out
gonna-
of Oregon, right? And they'll be like, he already kind of wears green, right? They'll just have some ridiculous reason, right? But I think this is what Jet fans are worried about, right? Is that, hey, it is a deep quarterback draft next year. That means we'll grab the wrong one, right? It's that kind of defeatist person. I guess with years of losing and getting that, you got kind of that mentality. But
You're already defeated.
but to me, that's the thing, man. That draft, I think, G, really gets that clock ticking on your CJ Strouds, your Bryce Youngs, your Brock Purdy's. All of a sudden,
Baker
listen,
Mayfield. That puts it on Baker Mayfield.
Listen, I wrote down one of my hot seat guys was Bowles from the Bucks. I'm like, listen,
Huh.
that team's heading in the wrong direction. If the Bucks don't make the playoffs next year, they rebuild. They're
Actually, I
firing
think
Bowles.
I think the Bucks do make the playoffs this year because I think they're better than they were last year. I
Right.
think obviously they bolstered their defense. You know,
Yeah.
I think Bain is a sick pick, dude. I mean, we talked about this, Joe. I know you watched him a lot because he was in Miami. That guy is a stud. And if there's anything you know about Miami University, bro, they pump out defensive players. Like almost all of them always pan out in the NFL.
Then Vargas,
all of
I'm
them always
going to
pan
cheat
out.
a little bit more on my hot takes because I already gave you the Jets. I wrote down Bain Jr. will be the defensive rookie of the year.
Yeah, I think that guy's a stud.
Mhm.
He's definitely going to help Tampa. Tampa offensively comes back. They got a great young wide receiver crew. Okay, Abuka is going to be amazing. He was great last
He was
year.
great. Yeah.
He was great last year. I mean, the team's good. To me, the hot seat, like you said, will
It's
be
Bowles.
Mayfield and Bowles
And Mo- yeah.
because Mayfield also window closing. Bucks have a super young team. You're going to need to make a decision after another year or so. Do you
Well,
want to
gee,
stay
this
with
is-
that?
And Vargas, now you're starting to see what I'm talking about. I threw you
Yeah.
guys a curveball, but the
Yeah.
Brock Purdy's, the Baker Mayfields, the CJ Strouds, all of a sudden that hot seat's getting turned up because of the draft that's next year.
Correct.
That type of draft that's next year. If it was
Yeah.
heavy defensive players and corners, maybe not on
Right.
some of these guys, right? But Baker Mayfield's another one like CJ Stroud and Bryce Young, small dudes. And Baker Mayfield has had some beating on him. How much has that guy got left? Because it's one thing if Josh Allen takes a beating for years, he's got the body for it. How much does Baker have left in general, right? From that standpoint. But my point to you guys, and when I threw you as a curveball, was with the draft next year, doesn't it feel like some of these guys are? Listen, I'll tell you, Cleveland, you got Watson and you got Sanders. What do you do there with the draft happen next year? You how do you start Watson? Then you're just saying Sanders is not going to be on the team if you start Watson, right? Because if I'm the Cleveland Browns, who don't have a bad roster, by the way, also, they're another one that had a decent roster. You want to get a look at, don't you want to get a good look at Sanders to see if you're drafting in that draft next year? Why wouldn't you want to get a good look at Sanders? You got to figure out if he's your guy. don't you?
which I don't even know if he is in
I'm not
Cleveland.
saying he is. What I'm saying
yeah,
is,
I
having
understand what you're
Smith
saying.
Watson
You
in
you
there-
got to let him play because now you got to
Yeah.
make a decision. Do you want to
Yeah.
take a shot at that draft?
Yeah.
I mean,
Because
talk
they're
about-
gonna
talk
have a
about team that
shot. They're
can't
not
pick
going to
a
be good,
quarterback.
Cleveland.
Huh?
Sorry, I said, talk about a team that can't pick a quarterback.
Oh, nice.
Browns.
But you know what the Jets should hope? The Jets should hope they start Sanders. He doesn't pan out. And the Browns pick before the Jets. Because then the Browns will take the
The
guys.
Browns
who-
picked Arch Manning.
Yeah. The Browns will get the Jets will get mad because the Browns took their guy, and I'll tap the Jets on the shoulder and go, "Hey, they did you a favor."
The funny thing is, there's very few things that make you laugh during the draft, right? Most of it's like crying for certain teams and whatnot. But nothing is funnier than pre-draft Deion Sanders flat out saying, "No, I already told my son there are certain teams we are absolutely not going to, and the Browns were one of them." And have it. That's okay.
That's awesome.
No, Dan's like, I'm adamant. They're like, Dion, you're Deion Sanders, right? And so you have that kind of clout. You know what your last name is? It Manning. The family has that kind of clout. You know, right? Like So no. To me, the Jets are an interesting. I think the draft speeds up a lot of this stuff. He just got hired last year, but I think because of the draft next year, don't you think Aaron Glenn's on the hot seat? I know you're like, hey, they just hired him. But let me ask you a question, G. We talk about second-year quarterbacks. If the Jets can finally get that franchise quarterback next year, you want him playing under Glenn only to then fire Glenn and have to restart
No.
over again?
Yeah, I wouldn't. No way. I
So-
think
so-
the
so my
Jets are
question is-
the Jets are almost in a position similar to like what the Giants were
Yeah.
last year. We're
Yeah.
like, you're bringing in these young players, you're staying with Dable. Like
The
you
Dart-
weren't sure if you wanted to
But
keep
Dart
this
had to
guy
play under
anyway.
Dable.
Right, no, he did
that's
that
what I'm
one
saying.
year, but then the Giants finally pulled the trigger. But even before that, Joe, you remember that draft? I told you, I'm like, I don't know why the Giants are keeping this coach
Coach.
because whoever you're drafting, if you're letting him draft your quarterback, then what you're saying is you're committing to this guy. You know what I'm saying? And then he did make the right call, end up firing him. But like to me, the Jets are going to be in that same seat. Are
You know
you
where the
saying that
Giants
if
got
you're going to
lucky?
let Glenn
You know where
make
the
that
Giants
draft?
got lucky? Because usually when a coach that's a lame duck head coach is going to pick your next quarterback, you end
Yeah.
up married to that quarterback now, and now you had to fire the coach, and now the next coach doesn't get to pick their quarterback. They're stuck with your quarterback. Jackson Dart is such a special player; it didn't matter, right? Like Harbaugh looked at Dart and was like, "Yeah, I'll go there," right? Like
Right.
Harbaugh saw what I saw, right? Jumped
Right.
off the screen. So the Giants got lucky there. I don't think the Jets are going to get that lucky. I think the Jets are going to have to make a decision on Aaron Glenn at the end of this year. I'm dead serious, John. Like, tell me I'm wrong.
You're
Like,
not
gee,
wrong.
I think this quarterback draft gets a lot of people in the crosshairs. Aaron Glenn, Brock Purdy, CJ Stroud, Bryce Young, the Browns organization. A lot of these people looking at this draft next year going, you know what it's like, G? The Miss America pageant's coming to town next week, and a lot of guys looking at their wives like, man, I thought she was hot, but she's not as hot. Like all of a sudden, your wife don't look nearly as attractive as she did before, the Victoria's Secret show came to town. Like, listen, this draft next year, G's got everyone looking at their quarterback like, you know what I'm saying? Like, is that my guy? And I really think the Jets are in a tough spot because they just hired this guy as coach.
You got to
But I'm
light a
like-
fire under your quarterback's ass. So before the season starts, inside the coach's office is players to watch, and
That's
the
right.
top three are quarterbacks
That's
that are in
right.
college.
No, listen. It's like hanging up the freaking the Sports Illustrated calendar in your kitchen. It's like, why are you looking at that? You're married to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's like, freaking Shanahan's got a calendar in there with Arch Manning and Chambliss and DJ Dante Moore. It's like, what are you looking at? But no, I think I threw you guys that curveball because I was thinking about it. I'm going, does that draft speed up the clock on some of these guys that we didn't mention? And
Well,
that's
well,
my
the thing,
question.
real quick on the Brock Purdy thing, I think that's a little different, and I just think it's because of Kyle Shanahan. I don't think he has enough time to bring in a new quarterback. That
Because
is
that
that
roster's old, is what you're saying?
well older.
Yeah.
And I think from the complexity of the offense, I think Brock Purdy. I think that's what made Brock Purdy different.
He really
Is
did
I
pick up
think
that
he was
offense.
able
He's a
to pick
smart
up the
kid.
complexity of the offense, and I think that showed from a Trey Lance perspective,
Yeah.
right? That deviation, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
was just the complexities. Maybe you had raw talent that just couldn't catch up to do whatever it is, couldn't pan out. I think you had Brock Purdy, which I think from a processing standpoint,
He processes
right,
things.
can process the game
Yeah.
phenomenally,
Yeah.
right? It just comes down to from his head to his abilities of being able to get the ball throughout, which he's shown last year, like you said, 300 yards. But to me, it's his decision making, like pressure. Like, can he win the game? Can you put it on his shoulders at
with
a
a
key
minute
time
and a half left.
to win the game? You know, and at that point, I just don't have the confidence yet. But I think, like you're saying, quarterback Shanahan, I think that's a tough one. I think it's like he's kind of in bet. The only thing I see there is if he gets rid of Purdy and he brings in someone like a Burrow, like he goes for a Hail Mary,
Yeah.
a Burrow, or somebody that's more of a veteran.
Oh,
to
he's
come-
Well,
gonna
that's
have
why
to
the
put-
Niners. I don't think the Niners look for a quarterback in the draft. I
Yeah.
agree with G. They're built to win now.
now.
I think if anything, they move to like a Lamar Jackson or
Yeah.
a Joe Burrow because
Yeah, they would
I
have
just
to-
think they're built now.
The Niners would have to pull a McVay and just like your
Yeah.
next 5 first-round picks need to go to Cincinnati.
Right, but if you win the
Yeah,
Super Bowl,
Yeah.
it's worth
yeah,
it.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
You
that's
know?
what would have to happen for you to get a Burrows. G
Yeah.
gets Burrows when never. Dude, we'll have to cancel this podcast.
Oh
the
my
Niners get
god!
Burrows. Like,
I
is
don't
there
think
another? By the way, John, G already knows this, so I'm going to say something to make him smile because he's already fantasized it about his head. You hit G's age, 51 years old. Amy don't have to worry about him laying down fantasize about women. G lays down and fantasizes that they already call him Joe Cool, just like.
You know,
That's
and
right.
it's a
Call
crazy
Joe-
thing.
Listen, Joe Burrows already has the nickname Joe Cool. Gerard lays down like it's perfect. He closes his eyes, he sees it.
And the crazy thing about Burrow too is it's nuts that he's even in like Cincinnati because he's a big market QB, bro.
Yeah.
Throw that personality in like San Francisco, Miami, New
Yeah.
York, or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like crazy.
Oh yeah. G's like, listen, it's in the stars. They already call him Joe Cool. We already
That's
had
right.
one of those Joe Cool
Believe
guys.
it. That's
It
right.
worked out really well for
It's
us.
a matter of time.
It worked out really well for us. All right, real quick. Give me two quick ones. No debating. 2 hot takes going into next season. Hot takes. I gave you mine. Jets win 6 games, and I will tell you this. I'll give you one more. Chargers are in the AFC Championship game. This is year 3 of Jim Harbaugh. Jim Harbaugh, right around
This
year
guy
3,
with Harbaugh,
Michigan,
Jesus
Niners, all this stuff.
Christ. This
He
guy with the
usually-
Harbaugh brothers. He's
Listen,
like,
Listen, I'm telling you, year 3 of Harbaugh, and listen, they don't lose their 2 best offensive linemen last year. Everyone forgets the Chargers were going to win that division, not the
Sure.
Broncos,
Yeah,
right?
you took one of mine. That was on my thing too.
Okay, so those
Chargers.
I gave you Chargers, I gave you Bengals, I gave you Jets win more than 6 games, I gave you Bain Jr. wins defensive rookie of the year, and I'll give you one last one because I'm going to cheat. I'm going to give you a bunch, but I was thinking about it. John Vargas is not going to like this. The New Orleans Saints are going to win the NFC South.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see
Over the
that.
Panthers?
Over the Panthers and the Bucs.
over the Panthers. You guys make it funny.
I'm not being funny. I think what people didn't pay
Over the
attention-
Panthers?
Listen.
As if it was a foregone conclusion.
yeah.
Nick's like, over the Panthers?
Yeah. Nick said over
Just
the
not
Panthers.
even bypassing
No,
the Bucks.
John, Nick said over the Panthers, like I said, they were going to beat the Rams and the
Right.
and the
Panthers
Seahawks.
have a good. The Panthers had good pickups this year.
No,
though.
they did.
Oh
The
my
Panthers had a
God.
great
They
offseason. I think people didn't pay attention enough to Tyler Show, the quarterback in New Orleans. I think he had a sneaky down low, very solid rookie year. They added Jordan Tyson, right? They drafted the kid from Arizona State, who people argued was the best wide receiver in the draft. Cardinal Tate was, but they argued Jordan Tyson might
and they
be
have
the
Olave.
right, and they have Olave.
I love Olave.
They've added
great.
ETN at running back to ETN. Played with them last year, ran for 1,000 yards, right?
Mhm.
So with Kamara, so now Kamara doesn't carry that offense. I think the Saints are going to be sneaky good next year. But anyway, that I gave you 4. I asked you for 2, but Nick, we'll let you go first this time. Give me your two.
I
Give
gotta
me,
look at what I had. Honestly,
he wrote. He's got his notes.
I got
Take it
yeah, I
off
got
the
it in my
cuff.
notes on my
You're
phone.
coming on the listen. If you're coming, John, you're coming on the Mob podcast. You better come with no. Nick's like, I gotta be ready.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. This is the one I was kind of more nervous about, is the hot takes. I didn't know what people considered as hot takes, but
Well, anything you say is hot takes. You thought the Panthers were it was shocking.
I
said the
thought that
It's okay, hit me with it.
I think that the Jared Verse and the Myles Garrett trade is a little closer than people think. Like not as an not a completely even trade, but it's not as bad as people think.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause that because I think you're articulating it differently than you should, and I think you're not
Okay.
of our. What you're saying is when Myles Garrett went to the Rams, everyone freaked out,
Yeah,
and they thought, "Wow, how can the Browns get rid of Myles Garrett?"
yeah.
But they got Verse,
But
and
they got Verse.
Verse
He's
is a tough-
25.
So versus 25, he's a solid player, and you're saying that the Browns didn't get as bad of a deal on that than they think.
Yeah,
Oh, I don't disagree with you. Myles Garrett is Myles Garrett.
'Cause
But
a
if
lo-
you're going to get Verse back, who just won a Super Bowl, I mean, who was a game away from the Super Bowl and is a good defensive player, I think that the Browns did get something in return. Which usually, when you lose a Garrett,
yeah.
you don't get something. You get picks, but you don't know what you're getting. The Browns actually got a very good young player.
Yeah, Jared
That's a
Verse
very
is
good.
awesome.
That's a very good call out. What's your other one?
And then the other one, I just going back to the Patriots. I just don't think that AJ Brown is like, it's not enough to get them.
You think
to where they
AJ?
can
You
get.
think the addition of AJ Brown won't be as much of a factor as people think?
Yeah,
That is a hot take. I'll give you that. Okay. I do agree with your first one though. I'm glad you wrote that one down. That is, they did get a good player back, the Browns. It's not like they got absolutely
Yeah,
taken
yeah.
advantage of.
they
Okay.
got good picks, right? Too.
Vargas, how do you feel about that? You think I don't think they got taken advantage of. I think they got a good player back.
I think they got a good player back. No, for sure. I definitely think they
All
do.
right, so we'll let you do your hot takes, then G will finish. Go ahead.
All right. I'm gonna stay out of the NFC because I think the NFC is pretty predictable. I think the West is just the strongest. My hot take in the AFC, and I think both these teams take a huge step forward. I think the Colts and the Broncos take a huge step forward in the AFC. I think, to me, you look at the Colts, we talked about this, Joe. Talent wise on paper, they may be the most talented team in the AFC.
I think they got
Colts.
one of the best. There's another GM didn't get credit because they can't solve the quarterback position.
Yeah, but talent wise, from top to bottom, offense, defense, special teams, I think the organization is run great. I think the owner has done a spectacular job as far as being involved with the team at a distance, but wanting to win and giving her coach and her GM the personnel, the finances, and the support they need, but also questioning them at the same time, wanting to be involved. Not so much like Jerry Jones type involved, but and I think the Broncos are
So
going to be
let me
really
ask you a
good.
question.
I think those two teams move forward to what the Chiefs and the Bills were the last 5 or 6 years. I think you're going to see a little bit of a changing of the
There's a lot
guard
of people
with
well,
those
John,
two
there's a
teams
lot
just
of people
stepping
that had
forward.
the opinion that if Bo Nix don't break his ankle, the Broncos win the Super Bowl.
I
right?
agree with that.
Or
I
at least go. So
I don't think win the Super Bowl,
they
but
go.
but they are beating the
Patriots, yeah.
the Patriots,
And by the
and
way,
they're
by the
making
way-
it a game.
And then, by the way, that Super Bowl is not a blowout. That
No.
would
Oh, that would have been a good.
That's
Right,
a
right.
game.
Yeah.
okay.
That's a game.
So let me ask you this: for your Colts taking a step forward, let me ask you: out of every team in the NFL, are the Colts the ones that are the closest to either taking a step forward or completely changing direction? I will tell you this: they don't have their quarterback. I know how you feel about Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is they have the best roster, probably one of the best rosters in the AFC with that deep quarterback draft next year. Does the owner and the GM go in a different direction? That's what I'm saying. Now the Colts, I'm not asking you if they do. If the Colts don't take a step forward, they might be one of the teams that have to restart.
I think they might have to restart. Of course, the quarterback position is the biggest question. As much as I thought, like, the thing with Jones is it's the same thing with when he was on the Giants. Like, and I'm not comparing Jones to Burrow or Allen by no means. It's a big different talent wise. But did Jones fail or did the Giants fail Jones? That's a big question too, because you know what?
I'll
On
tell
the
you, do you
Colts,
want to know
I
the
mean,
answer?
he
I'll tell
was
you- I'll tell
he
you
was
as a Giant fan.
manageable on the
I'll
Colts.
tell you as a Giant fan. Jones completed 59% of his passes in college, right? Jones never is able to read past his first read. Jones, to me, is a serviceable. To me, you know what Jones is? Jones is Nick Foles.
I think the Colts,
Does that make
even with
sense?
it
Okay.
does, but I think the Colts with Jones, with the personnel they have, they can win the AFC.
Okay.
Like
Okay,
it's not
so
like they're a foregone
that's a
conclusion to
hot
win the
take.
AFC.
That's a hot take. That
Like
falls
I
under the
think
hot
they
take
could win.
umbrella.
It
Yeah.
does. It does.
That falls under the hot take
Because I
umbrella.
don't think the AFC is that. Like you said, the Chiefs taking a step back.
Right.
The Bills, I got questions. The Broncos are on the rise.
Do you think Jacksonville
Okay.
repeats what they did last year?
Oof, man,
So
Jacksonville.
you want to know something, John? They in the AFC,
They might be another. They
in
might
the
be another team
AFC,
too on the rise.
They got
Yeah.
one of the 3 best defenses, I think, in the AFC.
Yeah,
Jacksonville.
I still got questions about Lawrence.
I know.
Yeah.
I think he's
Lawrence,
another one
Best-
that I think is probably has to put. Listen, he had the same year numbers Josh Allen had last year.
Yeah.
I think Trevor Lawrence is one of those guys, G, that you need to see another year of that.
Yeah,
Right?
consistency. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Vargas, Colts. If Jones plays well, Colts could win the AFC. That's a hot take. I'll put that under a hot take umbrella. That is a hot take. G, what do you got?
What do I got? Oh.
You got
What?
no hot takes?
No. So I got something just. So I got Brock Bowers, right? Leads all tight ends yard catches this year.
With Mendoza
have that
as
as
a
mine.
rookie quarterback. Yeah.
Well, I think you have Cousins, right? You got Cousins there.
You think
and then
Cousins starts that
I think Cousins starts
in
I do.
Vegas?
in Vegas. I think Cousins starts. I think Mendoza then takes over, similar to what
When?
we ran into when.
Week 2.
We
Yeah, well, I would say early on. Yeah, week 2 or 3. But I think Brock Bowers is the guy.
The minute the Raiders in it, Cousins won't have any control over this because they don't have a good roster totally. That's why they picked number 1. They have a good running back and a great tight end. They have the best tight end in the league. Let's face it. Okay, at this point. Okay. If Cousins starts 0-2, he's the crowd's going to want to see the.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Remember,
yeah,
you got to
ran
remember
into
something.
with-
Mendoza, the way the nation feels about Mendoza, it's going to be hard for Cousins to stay in the game without absolutely shocking people and being like 3-0 after the first 3 games.
No, totally right. I think it turns into a similar Falcons situation,
Mm-hmm.
right? Where Cousins comes out, plays half so, whatever it is, and then you bring Mendoza, so they don't want
It could be
Mendoza.
a Kirk Cousins. I mean, it could be a Kurt Warner situation for like the Giants with Eli.
Yeah,
Remember?
Yes.
We were 5-4. We had a winning record. They still
Yeah.
pulled Kurt Warner and Eli came in. I mean, but that was 9 games in. Listen, so
yeah.
Listen,
and
or
again,
it
I
could be
think
a
throughout
dark
all that, I
situation.
think Brock Bowers. I think from that standpoint, I think he's going to just lead the tight ends, and great year last year, but I think steps out.
Yep.
And then my last one is a little far fetched, but
well, that's what hot
Really?
takes are. Here we go, Vargas. You ready?
no, I
Vargas
think
wants to go
I
home,
think
though.
the Jets
See by the
will
smile,
win their
this is
division.
gonna be devious.
What the fuck?
I think the Jets win the division. I think
You think the New York Jets win the AFC East?
yes, I do. I do.
Damn,
I
you
think the
got some
Patriots.
guts,
I think Patriots go on.
He's putting it all on black. Let's
I do.
on the black jet uniform. He's
Dude,
putting
he
it
pulled the
all
Jim
on
Fossil.
black.
All my chips are in the middle of the table.
Damn.
I think Josh Allen struggles a little bit this year with a little bit, and I think maybe some injury-prone situations that might happen there, and that's it. I mean, I think that I don't think the Patriots. Like I said, I think Geno Smith, right, is enough to win
With that roster.
With that roster. I'm not talking about 12-4, right? I'm
You think
talking
you
about
think they'll be 10-6, 10-7.
yes,
And you think
I
10-7 could win that division.
yes.
Mm.
And I think that, like, to your point,
Because Miami's
because-
like free wins for everybody. Yeah.
Literally.
well, and the other thing is, and the irony, like you mentioned, is for
This
the
is the
quarterbacks.
year you don't want them to do that.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly. And it will be the year that they will just be good enough to win that division. And I'm not saying that I think there'll be breaks along the way.
Right, like the Patriots had.
Yes, I think there will
Okay.
be some of that. I think just Josh Allen, I just don't think with the pressure, with everything, I don't know. It's a hot take, right?
Okay, it is a hot take, but I'll
think
tell you
it's
what, Vargas.
possible.
I'll tell you what about G's hot take. I said my hot take was the Jets win 6 games in a year they don't want to win 6 games. G's only talking about 4 more.
No, if they win the division, they would need to win 10. I
Yes.
mean,
Yeah, 10
and
and
I
7.
think even more than that, to be honest.
Oh yeah, well yeah.
Because what you're
well,
saying is the Bills were 12-5. So what you're saying is they're going to win 2 less and
Yeah.
lose the tiebreaker to the Jets,
Yes.
and that the Patriots are going to win 4 less
Oh,
and
I-
win
I-
and
well,
lose the
I
tiebreaker
just
to
don't-
the
so
Jets.
but I think we all agree. So let's put.
I mean, that's
G's
a hot take. That's a
let's-
big time.
That is a hot take. But let's put G's hot take aside.
It's a good one.
Listen, I'm one of the people. I don't know what they finished last year. Were they 14 wins? The Patriots.
Yes.
Okay, I'm one of these people, John, that think the Patriots are going to go from 14 wins to 9. I think the Patriots are going to be 9 and 8.
I
So-
think the
so
Jets.
putting-
I think
putting-
of all the teams that will be the worst teams in the league, the Jets may have the best roster of
yeah.
one of the worst teams in the league.
But you know Smith. I mean, when he was in
He's serviceable.
Seattle,
Yeah, he's serviceable.
I mean, he can do it. Like I'm saying, like we're not.
He was
it's-
winning games for Seattle before.
Yeah,
Darnold
he was
got
winning
there.
Seattle. I mean, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's possible. I think the only thing there is Josh Allen, right? It's Josh Allen, but it's again different.
The only
You
way,
know,
this
it's
is the way. The
not
only
a
way your hot take.
Terrible
Listen,
take. He's explaining it. It's not that
So,
crazy.
G,
The Jets
first of
go
all-
in,
first of all-
and
Oh,
they're
that's
like,
on the bad
"Gee,
way.
what?
first of all,
Where's
that's
Mr.
not-
Caro? He'll love that.
No, listen.
Wait
I'm
a
gonna
second.
listen. I'm gonna let Vaccaro hear this, right? And you know what he's gonna be like, "Gee, jinxed us."
Hold
Listen,
on
I will
a
tell you this.
second.
Listen, it's a hot take. It's not happening. It's a hot take, but Josh Allen would have to suffer a 3 or 4 game injury for your hot take. Because then, if Josh Allen suffers a 3 or 4 game injury, the Bills aren't winning.
So can I give you the
Nine
first?
games.
Can I
Nine-
give you the
9 games,
Jets?
but I will tell you this. Then we have a conversation because I don't think the Patriots are winning more than 9 games.
Can I give you
so-
the first 5 games? Jets
Oh,
first
the-
5
oh,
games.
I've already looked at the Jets schedule. Their first 5 games are brutal, but the back end of their schedule is not as tough. But go ahead.
Yeah, first 5 games. You know they'll be at home, on the road. First game Titans,
That's a winnable game.
at home the following week against the Packers.
Well, it
Not
depends on how. No, it all depends on how we feel
Depends.
about the Packers. But no, the
Right.
Packers should win that game.
the week 3 against the Lions in Detroit.
They're getting smoked.
Week 4 in Chicago against the Bears.
I'm telling you, I saw the Jets schedule. I think it's really tough up front.
At home, week 5 against the Browns. I don't know,
That's-
dude.
Oh,
Dude,
the
They
Browns.
win one of those other games, they're 3-2 going into week
Dude, there's only
10.
one game in there. There's only one game in there. I'd say, yep.
After that,
loss.
after that,
After that, I think it's
Wait, let
winnable.
me-
I think it's
listen,
After-
winnable.
wait a second, wait a second, wait a second.
Vargas, I'm
After
gonna
that-
squash. Vargas, I'm
after
gonna
that, the
squash
next
G's-
3 games, listen, after that, the next 3 games, Patriots, Dolphins, Raiders.
Oh shit!
Bro,
Bro,
Listen,
if they
come
can get
on,
out 3 and
come
2,
on, brother.
no,
They
no,
might-
listen,
bro,
G.
they may be
G, I'm gonna
5 and
hold on.
3, 6 and 2.
No. Listen, G. I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna squash your one comment.
Where's
You said-
Vaccaro
You
when
said
we
there's
need him?
one game there
right.
that there's really only one game you think they lose in the first. They could lose in the first one that they definitely lose. Which game was that?
The Lions.
Lions.
Okay,
Lions.
but I'm surprised you said that because you said the Lions were going to take a step back, the Bears would take a step back, and Green Bay was going to win the division.
Yes.
So you
no,
think
I
the
totally
Jets
agree.
can beat
No, no,
Green
no,
Bay,
no,
but
no.
Green Bay's going to win their division?
No, they're winnable games.
They are.
The
Well, all
chance,
games are
I'm
winnable.
taking everything aside, right? You gotta compartmentalize.
Okay.
All I'm saying is
Where's that game in Green Bay or New York?
that
John?
that's winnable. That to me,
The
if you're
Green Bay game is in MetLife
Okay,
Yeah.
and the Lions game's in Detroit?
in
Yes.
Detroit.
Okay. So listen, hold on. I will tell you this.
And the Bear game
Oh.
is in Soldier Field. But here's the thing with the Bear game.
yeah,
I could completely see with that Jet defense, the Bears having one of those
Vargas, don't let G
two
do
fumble,
this to
three
you.
interception
Come on,
games,
Vargas,
and it
come on,
changes the
Vargas,
momentum.
Vargas,
And then you got the Browns the
come on,
following
Vargas,
week in
Vargas,
MetLife.
Go to the dark side,
don't let
Vargas.
G do
Come
this to you.
on.
I will tell you this. 100%. I was thinking about a different schedule because I thought maybe the Jets were tougher on the back end, not the front end. But I will tell you this. You're not wrong. The Raiders, they'll beat the Raiders, right? Whether it's Cousins or Mendoza, it's a rookie quarter. I will tell
I
you
think the
this.
Dolphins too.
Raiders, Dolphins, Browns.
Patriots.
Raiders, Dolphins, Browns, and who did you say?
Patriots.
No, who'd you say early they played? Titans.
Titans.
Those are all 100%. The Jets could win those games. That would put them at what, 4-3?
Yeah.
Well, I still think
What's
they.
the back end of that schedule, John?
I know.
said
I'm thinking about
6
this too now.
Go ahead.
Back end of that schedule
you
after
got,
the
you got
Dolphins
two,
and
you got two
Raiders.
more Bills, right? You got two more Bills.
G
You got the
actually
You have
Chiefs.
two
onto
against.
something.
You have two.
You got the
against Bills.
Chiefs,
Yep.
Bills,
There it is.
Chargers,
Yep. There we go.
Dolphins,
Okay.
Broncos,
Yep.
Cardinals,
Okay.
Vikings.
Dude, if they could squeak out a win, right, out of the Bills,
Out a win.
G.
right,
G.
and
that-
squeak out either from the Chargers, the Broncos, I'm telling you.
No.
Yep.
The
Yep.
Jets will never beat the Chargers or Broncos. This is
I don't
the
know about
Chief.
all that.
The Chiefs, if Mahomes is playing, no. So Chiefs, Chargers, Broncos, and the two Bills games, and let's say they split with the Patriots. Okay.
No, they're going to sweep the Patriots, bro.
Okay, you're saying that, but what I'm saying is, let's say they split with the Patriots. I already got them at 6 losses, right there.
11-6.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm done. You know what?
Here we
I'm
go,
done.
kid. Come on, brother.
Listen, G just hit with a hot take. We're gonna end on this. Thank you for watching the Mob Podcast. Always, this is the sports edition. We had some fun today. We talked NFL football. Nick joined us. Slick Nick joined us with his notes.
Yeah,
And
we love
G
Nick.
left us with the Jets are winning the division. And if Acaro hears this, we may never have another podcast again. But thanks everybody for watching. Everybody have a good night. We'll see you later.